Going to be doing it very long.
A reporter then asked if there will be a U.S. operation in Colombia. The president responded, "Sounds good to me." He also again said the U.S. should take control of Greenland, which Denmark's leader does not like hearing.
Mette Frederiksen says the U.S. has no right to annex any part of the Kingdom of Denmark. That includes Greenland, which President Trump says the United States needs for national security. Danish Prime Minister Frederiksen says it's time to stop the threats against a historically close ally.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. A man's in custody in Ohio, arrested by Secret Service early this morning, accused of vandalizing Vice President Vance's home in Cincinnati. The VP and his family were not home at the time. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Feelings are mixed following the arrest of an ousted world leader. Your radar is clear in downtown Indianapolis, where it's 35 degrees. We're going up to 50 today. I'm Ryan Hedrick. Here's what's trending at 9:02. Confusion and fear are spreading among Venezuelans after the arrest of their ousted leader, Nicolas Maduro, says Ray Lyman, an anchor at Indy Telemundo.
People who live without wisdom, without freedom, without any human right during 26 years. And when we received the news this Saturday, 2 a.m. In Caracas time, was a mix of joy, happiness, exciting.
Speaking to WIBC's Tony Katz this morning, Maduro and First Lady Celia Flores are slated to make their first appearance in a U.S. federal courtroom at noon. During a safety check along I-70 on Saturday, police discovered drugs in Putnam County. Here's Jake McDaniel.
State police stopped a semi-tractor trailer going from Missouri to Richmond and noticed something wasn't right. State Police Sergeant Matt Ames.
Some criminal indicators were observed from the trooper, and then he contacted one of our other ISP canine officers and had them come to the scene. And at that time, our canine indicated on the vehicle possible narcotics in the vehicle.
Troopers discovered an estimated $7 million worth of cocaine hidden inside. The two men inside, Gurpreet and Hasveer Singh, are now in the Putnam County Jail. Jake McDaniel, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Your forecast is expected to have lots of dry time this weekend, says forecaster Matt Eckhoff at the National Weather Service.
There might be a bit of drizzle tomorrow, but it looks fairly light, nothing too substantial. The next chance of rainfall that could be heavy at times, maybe Thursday into Friday.
Eckhoff says southern Indiana will have the warmest temperatures of the week. The Indianapolis Colts are sticking with head coach Shane Steichen and general manager Chris Ballard, even after missing the playoffs for the fifth year in a row, and closing the season with a 38-30 loss to the Houston Texans on Sunday, the team's seventh straight loss.
Obviously, we showed signs early in the season that was pretty darn good, and we had some unfortunate circumstances, but that's part of the league. You got to overcome those circumstances. That's where you have to learn from and grow from to when you get in those situations. Again, you learn from them, like, hey, here's how we have to win now with the circumstances, that we had.
Head coach Shane Steichen will address the media here in a couple of minutes, and the team's ownership will hold a press conference this afternoon. I'm Ryan Hedrick on the level on the go and at WIBC.com. With traffic, here's Jeremy Scott.
Ryan, still got big problems out there in Hendricks County, where 70 eastbound is shut down at State Road 39 for crash investigation and cleanup. INDOT now telling us it's due to multiple crashes. Of course, we had that late pickup of overnight road work, and that kind of didn't help things much either. You can't get back on State Road 39. Your jam's solid all the way back from the Hazelwood overpass, and to say the least, use US 40 as your alternate. Closer to home, just a couple of delays we're watching. Actually, just one, I should say. We're 465 eastbound heavy ditch to Meridian. Traffic is sponsored by Allstate. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. What are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. I'm Jeremy Scott with Traffic on the 5s. Follow us on X at WIBC Traffic.
Farnsworth Metal Recycling, a familiar face in Indy.
Farnsworth Metal Recycling will pay you cash for your scrap metal. Ray's Demolition and Farnsworth Metal Recycling may seem familiar to you, and that's because they are. They're trusted local family-owned businesses going back 3 generations in Indy with their familiar orange logo and a name you know. But you may not know they'll pay you cash for your scrap metal. Cash is king. Your scrap aluminum, steel, copper, and brass will get you cash from Farnsworth Metal Recycling. Just drop it off and you'll put cash in your pocket. Ray's Demolition and Farnsworth Metal Recycling. Local names you can trust with 2 locations.
Farnsworth Metal Recycling, a familiar face in Indy.
Get cash for your scrap. Get started at farnsworthmetals.com.
Now your forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
Partly cloudy conditions this afternoon. It'll be a bit breezy with highs close to 50, and areas of fog develop later tonight with lows dropping to 39. I'm Wish TV's Storm Track 8 meteorologist Tara Hastings for 93 WIBC.
And I'm Ryan Hedrick on the level, on the go, and at WIBC.com. Kendall and Casey starts right now.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
All right. So, can we have some perspective? I think that's the key. When it comes to talking about Venezuela, the key is perspective. 93 WIBC, it's Kendall Casey show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. And obviously the big news has been what's going on in Venezuela. Now, the challenge is, what do you do with what's taking place on the ground? And part of all of this is looking at what's happened in this country in the past and how do we ensure those mistakes don't happen again in the future. So what I'm talking about is the United States. If you look at the past 80 years of the United States, our U.S. military is the greatest fighting force in the entire world. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But what we're not good at, what we really haven't been good at in a post-World War II world, with some exceptions, but for the most part, we have not been good at what we call nation building. We're really good at breaking things, which is what a fighting force should be. Seek, kill, destroy, get the bad guy, move on. That's what we do really well. But anytime you do the seek, kill, and destroy, anytime you take out people who have led nations, in some cases for generations, somebody has to fill the power vacuum. And time again, certainly in a post-World War II world, we have not been a good, I guess, babysitter, for lack of a better term, to ensure that the people who fill that power vacuum are friends of us, serve interests that we care about, and many times we will end up with something worse. I think you can make a compelling case when you look at the way Afghanistan ended up, especially when you talk 20-plus years of blood and treasure. Certainly Iraq and what took place in the decade after that, that while the people who were running those countries were horrible, disgusting people, in terms of how we were affected by the United States, we were better off with having the bad guy in power because it was stability. You knew who you were dealing with. And so one of the things that's been fascinating to me in the days after Maduro has been captured, by the way, having a hearing today at noon, and we'll get into this all throughout the course of the program today. But one of the interesting things is that we don't really have an answer of what comes next. And for someone like me, whose generation was the generation who fought in Iraq, who fought in Afghanistan. Now, of course, that was not me. There were people far braver than I who were over there doing that. But when we hear the idea of, hey, we're taking over, hey, we caught this bad guy, that's great, and we're taking over, We're going by what we experienced, my generation has experienced. I think you could, it's certainly different than the folks who grew up and experienced Vietnam. But our generation looks at that and goes, oh, that didn't go so well. What does that mean we're taking over? What does that mean we're going to be in control? What comes next? And we don't really have a lot of answers to that. So what was fascinating to me was that on the internet, like the internet is a cesspool of awful, right? I think we all know that at this point. That the internet is essentially a colossal vacuum of suck. And it's sort of like going to a movie. There's a reason they put the ratings on the movies. So you have some idea what you're getting into when you go to that movie. And I think you kind of should know that now on the internet. Like if you engage in Twitter, you should know what you're getting into. And so what's fascinating to me about the internet now, Twitter, to some extent Facebook, though it's not nearly as bad as Twitter, is that you can't really have any perspective on anything anymore. You can't really say to yourself, okay, this thing can be true, but this thing could also be true as well. Like you totally have to pick a side. That's all we do on the internet now is you must pick a side, you must have a team, and you can't at any point be in the middle. You can't see both sides. You can't have two things to be true. Where did we see this? We saw this with the redistricting debate that we went through, where if you automatically in Indiana didn't agree with the Republicans changing the congressional maps, then you were somehow some sort of Democrat shill. I went through this just last night. Some people are still saying this about me. Oh, you're Andre Carson's best friend. You're a big lefty. You're nothing but a shill for the Democrats. I said, wait a second. No one is more conservative than me. Nobody believes more in Republican principles than me. Nobody believes more in the Republican Party platform than me. I get mad because the Republicans don't do the things that they say they're going to do, and I push back on that. And I simply didn't think that handing them 2 more congressional seats that they didn't earn was the best way to go about making Republicans govern like Republicans. But you can't have any perspective anymore. You can't come out and say, hey, our maps are kind of fair. They kind of mirror the maps that our now Attorney General, then Secretary of State Todd Rokita proposed 15 years ago when he was trying to take politics out of the process. If you don't agree with doing this thing, then you are this other thing. So in this case, with the case of the maps, if you didn't agree with changing the maps, then you're some big lefty and some Andre Carson sympathizer. In the case of Venezuela and Maduro, it seems like if you say, well, I've got some concerns about us, quote unquote, taking over because that hasn't gotten over or gone well in the past. Well, then all of a sudden you're some drug dealing narco terrorist sympathizer. It's Kendall Casey show, by the way. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Let's get to some audio on this. Here is Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, in one of the great debates. And again, we'll get into this throughout the course of the program today. One of the great debates going on right now is whether or not the President of the United States needed congressional approval to take this action. Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, says no.
Couldn't require congressional approval because this was not an invasion. This is not an extended military operation. This is a very precise operation that involved a couple of hours of action. It was a very delicate operation, too. It was one that required all these conditions to be in place at the right time in the right place. You couldn't afford leaks. We couldn't afford anything out there that would have endangered the mission and gotten people killed or killed off the mission and the optionality. We didn't even know if the mission was going to happen. How can you notify something you're not even sure if it can happen? Because in order for it to happen, you needed to have weather conditions in place. He needed to be at the right place at the right time. We needed to have forces prepared to go. There were a lot of factors in place. It was a trigger-based operation. But you can't notify that, number one, because you don't even know if it's going to happen, if those conditions will ever align. And number two, you can't risk it being disclosed. But this was not an attack on Venezuela. This was a law enforcement function to capture an indicted drug trafficker. And of course, we needed the Department of War to support it because they do have anti-aircraft missiles that could shoot down those helicopters. But we had to take down radars. We had to take down those anti-air elements on the way in and on the way out. And that's what this was limited to.
But will you seek congressional approval for any further action in Venezuela or the region?
Well, we will seek congressional approval for actions that require congressional approval. But otherwise, they will get congressional notification. And this is not an operation that required congressional approval. In fact, this is an operation.
Okay, so the people on the left now who are losing their minds over, oh, he didn't go through the Congress. Look, you lost the high ground on that numerous times with Obama, with Biden, with all these people, right? Like those people are ridiculous who are doing these crocodile tears now over the fact that they didn't go through the Congress. We waved bye-bye, and I'm not saying they're right to do it, but I'm saying we waved bye-bye to that a long time ago. There was clearly a warrant, a bounty on Maduro's head. Biden and Kamala had put it there. There's audio we'll play for you later in the program of Chuck Schumer chastising, lamenting the Trump administration for not getting Maduro. That's ridiculous. Getting rid of Maduro is getting a really bad dude off the street. There's no debate. There's no discussion. This guy was a major drug trafficker. His regime was killing thousands of people, including people in this country, from the drugs that were coming into this country that were coming from Venezuela. There's no doubt about any of that. But I think at the same time, you can also say this wasn't just some run-of-the-mill drug dealer. This was the head of the country. This was the head of a sovereign nation. It is, you would be naive to say this was not. And look, reasonable people can debate and discuss it, but it wasn't, and I'm not saying extreme in the sense of bad. As I've said, I see all sides on this. But this was an extreme step to go into the country and take out, essentially, he's still alive, he has a hearing today at noon, but for all intents and purposes, take out the head of a sovereign nation. That's a really big deal. That's another step. But for these Democrats who are screaming and huffing and puffing about the American government going in and taking out really bad people, terrorists who are killing others. Obama did it. Biden did it. Go back to Clinton did it. That argument falls on deaf ears. We will get into a lot more of this throughout the program today. 93 WIBC, it's Kendall Casey Show.
How we win the midterms, happening at the Hyatt Regency, downtown Indianapolis. The bourbon will flow, the food will be fantastic. We're going to go over Trump's past year and how we use that to win the midterms. It's going to be informing, entertaining, and very, very funny. I promise. Join us, Trump 1 year later, brought to you by Premier Arms, PA Jewelers, Defiance Beef, Chimney Solutions, and WIBC. Get your tickets at WIBC.com.
It's Terry Stacy, and thousands of people start the year with good intentions of losing weight and getting in shape by spring. For over 22 years, exercising has helped Hoosiers build muscle and lose weight and transform their health, which means creating lifelong habits rather than a resolution most of us don't keep. Exercising works, and the best part about it, it only takes 20 minutes once a week. Their unique training method was developed in an osteoporosis research study to help prevent bone mineral loss in older women. The women in the study got very strong in a short amount of time. When the method is applied to normal, healthy adults, both men and women get a lot stronger. Their Simple 9 nutritional program has helped their clients lose over 40,000 pounds since 2013. They've also seen their clients lower blood pressure, improve blood sugar, and get off prescription meds. Get started right now. Avon, Brownsburg, Fishers, Greenwood, and Zionsville. Change your life in 20 minutes once a week. Go to exerciseinc.com to request a free consultation.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline nasal spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Guys and ladies, you made New Year's resolutions to get back in shape. Want real results in 2026?
Go to Centergen X and Low T Center for a free men's TRT test and $200 off the women's hormone test. GetMyHealthFix.com.
Call today or go to bwindow.com and receive up to 60% off plus 24 months, same as cash with 0% interest.
Because at B-Window,
we mean business. We mean business.
trust me.
Is there any other job you can think of where every year you could not meet your expectations and you just keep getting brought back? It's Kendall Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Okay, so the Colts lose yesterday. It was, I say, a meaningless game in the sense of the Colts already knew they were not making the playoffs. Look, I know they had injuries, but when you start the season the way the Colts did, with an 8-2 record, and you end up 8-9, it's an epic collapse. And especially when you factor in that they made this huge trade for Sauce Gardner, they have no first round picks the next 2 years. They have no answer at quarterback. You've got to start calling Anthony Richardson a bust at this point. They're a franchise in turmoil, and they have essentially been in turmoil since Andrew Luck retired. And that was a horrible, unforeseen blow to the franchise. Nobody's going to dispute that. But we are now, what are we? 7 years on from Andrew Luck stepping down? I mean, at some point, it's like always when a new president takes over. What is it? The first year you give them and say, okay, you can blame the other guy. For the first year, you're trying to fix that. And then after that, you kind of own what's going on, right? I thought that about when Obama took over for George W. Bush. 2-3 years on, he's still blaming Bush. That's ridiculous. You wanted the job. You signed up for it. You said all these things are wrong. You're going to fix it. At some point, you have to do it. You own the thing. And in the case of Chris Ballard, we are now 5 years on from even making the playoffs. We're a franchise that is at best, in the best of years, stuck in mediocrity, 9-8 in the modern 17-game era. And once again, you have failed to make the playoffs. Yes, you had some bad breaks in the sense of some injuries, but every team has injuries. And if you're a fan of the Colts, you have to look at this and say, once again, with the same two guys at the top of the regime, in this case, it's Ballard and it's Steichen, they have failed you as the patron. I mean, that's the business, right? You are the customer. The product should be good football. At the end of the day, look at how the playoffs are set up now. I've got to watch the Bears on a streaming service Saturday night. So let's not act like it's for the fans. Let's not act like it's for the people. It's a money-making operation. The NFL is about making money. It is a business. Now, they rope us into thinking, well, we couldn't do it without you. We'd be lost without you, the fans. That's ridiculous. The reality is they are there to make money. And in a money-making operation, it is about the product you provide. It's true whether you're in the food industry or the clothing industry or the home building industry or the National Football League. And in this case, Chris Ballard is essentially the head, the CEO, for lack of a better term. In this case, they call him the general manager. Has failed to produce a product that you, the fan, deserve, especially when you, the fan, are invested, whether you want to be or not, because your taxes have gone up for going on 20 years now to pay for that team to have a free stadium. And yes, almost every time we have a conversation about the Colts not living up to expectations, we're going to have a conversation about that taxpayer-funded stadium. I live in Brownsburg. I don't live in Indianapolis. And yet, I still pay higher taxes for Lucas Oil Stadium. So you're damn right I'm going to bitch when the Colts don't live up to their expectations. And once again, the Colts have let you, the consumer, you, the fan, down. And we're not talking like we have Super Bowl expectations here. We're talking sneak in to the playoffs. We're talking about get a 7th seed. We're talking about giving us an 18th football game, even if we get blown out. At least we had something to look forward to. So can you think of any other profession where for 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 5 consecutive years, where the head guy, any other company, any other business, where for 5 years in a row, the head guy didn't produce the expectations of the consumer, which is you, and that person would keep getting brought back. If you're the CEO of some Wall Street, some publicly traded company, and you don't meet earnings expectations for 5 years in a row, do you think like, well, let's bring him back. He's a nice guy. And we'll bring his top underling back too. No. But this is the Indianapolis Colts, whether it was Jim Irsay as the owner or now the daughter. And I come back to, and I think this is a major part of it, and I know people get tired of me having the stadium conversation, but it's a huge deal. When you don't earn something, when it's given to you, you don't appreciate it and you don't demand something for it. And in the case of the Irsay family and the Indianapolis Colts, their primary asset in terms of the value of that team, because don't forget, not only do they get what goes on in Lucas Oil Stadium with the Colts and all the money that brings them, they get what goes on a piece of the pie and what goes on anything inside a Lucas Oil Stadium. They're making $1 gajillion, and it was handed to them by the taxpayers. So yeah, maybe they don't have the fire in the belly of somebody who has to earn it. What other possible explanation could there be that you keep bringing the same people back who keep giving you the same mediocrity? It would never be tolerated in the private sector. It would never be tolerated in a business that had to make money. But in the case of the Indianapolis Colts, their biggest asset, their biggest profit, their biggest thing that makes them revenue, the Irsay family was given by us, the taxpayers. Hey, the Indiana General Assembly starting today. Let's get to it. We'll talk about it when we come back. Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Hammer Nigel here for Window Nation. I have Window Nation windows installed in my house. The cold air has stopped coming through. The warm air has stopped exiting the house because of my grade A Window Nation and windows. Definitely check out their sale, windownation.com. Buy 4 windows, get 4 free.
Window Nation, the best in the business. But don't just take my word for it. Check out their A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Check out their over 45,000 5-star reviews. Now, that's a big deal because nobody ever leaves 5-star reviews, but Window Nation has over 45,000 of them. Take advantage of this deal right now. Window Nation's buy 4, get 4 windows for free sale. It's going on right now. Schedule your fast and free, that's the key word, free estimate at windownation.com. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
Hey, this is Lisa Stofan. Heard the Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis hype? Well, I attended because my father stopped smoking with hypnosis. Hypnosis eliminated my desire for soda and fast food, made me want to exercise, and I lost 60 pounds in 6 months. My energy level exploded. I went to another session to deal with some other problem foods, and I lost another 10 pounds. In fact, I brought my husband, and he lost weight, and his cholesterol and blood pressure improved. My friend lost 20 pounds her first 2 months.
What are you waiting for? Lose the weight or stop smoking with Hypnosis, guaranteed only $59.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings, late-night eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating. Hypnosis Thursday, January 29th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss hypnosis 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking hypnosis 8 p.m. And Saturday, January 31st at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss hypnosis 11 a.m. Stop smoking hypnosis 2 p.m. Register at markpatrickseminars.com. If you used to hear a whole lot of this, but now you can barely hear this, you need to check out RelayIndiana.com and the Caption Telephone. The Caption Telephone allows you to get your groove back when using the telephone. It uses voice recognition technology so you can read on a bright screen what the other caller is saying. Go to RelayIndiana.com and add clarity back into your conversations with the Caption Telephone from Relay Indiana. Visit RelayIndiana.com now.
Let's go!
You're still grooving, still connecting, still loving, still turning up, still thriving. You still got it. But your immune system, it weakens as you age. That's where vaccines come in. They help train and strengthen your immune response to fight off respiratory illnesses like flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, or COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Book in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Who will not seek re-election? Your radar is clear in downtown Indianapolis where it's 33 degrees. We're going up to 50 today. I'm Ryan Hedrick. Here's what's trending at 9:30. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz says he will not seek a third term, making the announcement in a statement released this morning. In it, Walz says that for several years, organized criminal groups have tried to take advantage of the state's programs. He added that as the state works to address that fraud, he believes that some political groups are now using the issue for their own gain. He is expected to make this announcement official at a news conference scheduled for this afternoon. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro is scheduled to appear in federal court at noon.
Maduro and his wife Celia were brought to court under heavy guard. They were traveling in armored trucks and flown over the East River from jail in Brooklyn to Manhattan in a military helicopter. They were captured during that daring raid over the weekend and charged with running a multi-billion-dollar narco-terrorist organization for more than 2 decades that flooded our country with cocaine. The indictment says he partnered with the Mexican and Colombian drug cartels, the Sinolas and Zetas, and turned the Venezuelan government into the cartel of the Suns.
And your opening bell report on 93 WIBC brought to you by Absolute Wealth Management, LLC. All 3 major indices are up this morning. The Dow is up 88 points to 48,382.39. The S&P 500 is up 31 to 68,58.47. And the NASDAQ up 233.5 to 25,206. I'm Ryan Hedrick, on the level, on the go, and at WIBC.com.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
They can do it. They just don't want to do it. Never forget that anytime we talk about the government. It's Kendall Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. And our General Assembly here in Indiana, I guess you would technically say they're reconvening because, of course, they already started in December with the redistricting debacle. And one of the things, so this is what we call the short session. So Indiana's legislature meets once a year, most of the time, unless there's some sort of emergency session like we saw in the abortion bill, or the governor had initially called with redistricting that went on for so long it became the regular session. But most years they will meet one time a year. The even years are what we call the short session, in which it usually lasts from January until the middle of March. The odd years, budget years, we craft a 2-year budget here in the state of Indiana. Those are the even years, and those usually go into the middle of April. And normally the big stuff, the really big stuff, gets done in the odd years, just simply because, one, they're working on how to allocate the state's resources, but two, they have more time to get things done. However, anything can happen at any time, and as we have seen with these guys, like, I can't say they're down the street from us anymore. Look, it's new year, new us, right? It's the new studio. I know many of you have been observing the various other esteemed individuals who have continued to broadcast throughout the holiday season. But for me, I had one day here, and then I went on 3 weeks of vacation. And as many of you know, I have what we call pretty decent OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. Now, that doesn't mean like I need to be locked in a padded room and that I can't leave my house. It just means, and we've talked about this many times over the years, that my OCD, I'm very specific about where things are and how they're done. Like, I like my things in a certain place. I like things to sound a certain way when I do my broadcasting. And this is all different to me. Like, the sound is different. I've been doing things the same way every day for 9 years. And now the sound is all different. And so at every break, like this just sounds different in my ears. Everybody's like, it sounds fine. It sounds exactly the same as it did before, but it sounds different in my ears. And so every break, I'm rushing in, asking our producers if it sounds okay, and they're telling me to get the hell out of their workspace and that they have things to do and things to accomplish. But the point of all of this, coming back, I don't even know where I was going with that. But what I know is we're about to start the General Assembly. And what's going to be fascinating this year is going to be a new layer that has been thrown into this, which is Governor Mike Braun's threat during the redistricting debacle. Which, by the way, let's just call it what it was. Regardless of what side you were on that, the way that was handled, the way it played out was an embarrassment and a debacle for our state. And all of that rests on the shoulders of Mike Braun. Because just like he did with property taxes and the property tax bill that he caved on, he wrote checks with his mouth that his actions could not cash. And I was watching this play out over the many months, thinking this same group of people who so desperately wants redistricting is about to be into for a world of hurt and a world of sadness and a world of disappointment the same way we were with property taxes, because these people have not learned you can't trust Mike Braun. Mike Braun has no juice in that state house. You can't trust him. The people there don't like him. The members of the House, certainly the Senate, and they like his lieutenant governor even less. And so now what's going to be fascinating is Braun's first year was a complete dumpster fire. And a little later on in the program, we're going to get into this polling that came out over Christmas about Mike Braun in his home county. I know some people touched on it a little bit, but there's a whole bunch of stuff that relates to that. We're going to get into it next hour because there's something very, very important going on with why Mike Braun is so hated in his own home county. And we are going to talk about this at length over the next couple weeks because it's very important and it's a story that nobody's been paying attention to, and it has the potential to be a massive story. But the point of all this is the Senate can't stand the guy. The House, maybe at best kind of indifferent, probably don't really like him either. And then you couple that. So his first year is a complete dumpster fire. Property taxes doesn't go through. Everybody's pissed off about that. Now he's failed on redistricting. And in the process of doing that, he has threatened to defeat senators who didn't do what he wanted. Several of them are up for re-election this year. There are people going to run against them who have announced they're going to run against them in the upcoming May primary. Think about what a poison pill the governor has done for anything he claims to want to accomplish by telling people who didn't do what he wanted to do, who were simply listening to their constituents. Because unlike property taxes, where the people really wanted it, and these senators, these House members were listening to the connected people, the township trustees, the school board people, the superintendents, we got screwed because they were listening to the power and the connected. In the case of redistricting, every public opinion poll showed that people were against the redistricting. And so Braun, in threatening these senators, you think they're going to want to work with him? You think they're going to be like, well, you just threatened to take me out of my job. How can I help you, Mr. Governor? What can I do for you? Of course that's not going to happen. You think Rod Bray the leader of the Senate, who was not only threatened by Braun, but also the president of the United States, whose life was made a living hell because Braun wouldn't take no for an answer? Rod Bray was trying to help Braun in all of this. I'm loath to say anything nice about Rod Bray, the pro tem of the Senate, as many of you know. But he was trying to save Braun from himself, and all he got with that for that was grief. You think that guy is going to lift a finger to help Mike Braun accomplish anything? Of course not. So in a short session, which is generally not all that interesting, I mean, for nerds like us, right, there's these policy things that happen, and we go, ooh, this is going to be juicy. The average person, not that interesting. It's going to be fascinating this year because of the personal drama that's going to unfold. The personal animosity that no doubt exists from these senators who didn't do anything wrong. They simply listened to their constituents, in which there was overwhelming opposition for many of them who voted no on redistricting. And now they've got to come back and work with the governor. That is going to be the arc of the upcoming session that begins today. How do these senators who were treated so poorly by the governor, how do they work with him going forward? 93 WIBC, it's Kendall Casey Show.
Happy New Year. Hammer and Nigel Show back live Monday afternoon with the biggest stories in Indy and a whole lot of fun. We hope you join us.
It's not just cancer care. It's the complete care you get at Hendricks.
And you can feel that spirit of excellence, trying to do what's best from a medical standpoint, but also trying to affect the patient and their family as you would a family member.
Hendricks Care is trying to meet the patient where they are. You know your body better than anyone else.
Do the cancer screening early.
An ounce of prevention versus a pound of cure.
Learn about health screenings at hendricks.org/cancer.
I'm at Decatur Township Station 73 in Canby, Indiana. I'm a firefighter engineer. I drive all emergency equipment to the scenes. So my father-in-law, his health was declining. We needed to move him to put in assisted living, and we needed to get the home out of his name. It definitely affects your job, thinking about things at home, trying to get things settled. I would catch myself here at the firehouse thinking about, I need to hurry up and get this done with the home. I need to close on it. I really didn't want to hassle with putting it on the market, listing it. I just Googled and found simple quarters, and I reached out to Megan, and the process could not have been smoother. She met with me, I think it was the next day. We did a walkthrough of the house. It just took an hour to do the walkthrough of the property. Megan was straightforward from start to the finish. She told me what they could offer. There was no pressure involved whatsoever. The pricing I got for the house was very fair. I would recommend Simple Quarters. The process was very, very simple.
Call Simple Quarters 317-687-HOME, 317-687-HOME.
When the new year hits, every business could use a little something to stay ahead. A lift, a jump start, an edge, or perhaps a boost. Like the all-new 5-year business boost from Comcast Business. It's the certainty of a price lock for 5 years on qualifying internet bundles. Plus, you'll have the most reliable Wi-Fi with our best equipment, so your whole team can stay connected at a great rate. And to sweeten the deal, ask about a $500 prepaid card when you add 2 lines of mobile. It's the boost your business deserves. So sign up for the 5-year business boost and get a 5-year price lock on ultra-reliable Wi-Fi. Plus, ask about a $500 prepaid card. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ends 2/22/26, new customers only. 1-year contract required for guaranteed rate. 5-year pricing applies to monthly service charge excluding taxes and fees. Best Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, May 2025.
Here's a tale of Tina searching up and down for decent GLP-1s, but got spun around.
Till GoodRx wrote in, hey, we got something new. GLP-1 prescriptions, all FDA approved.
Brand name meds, no flags that are red.
Clear pricing from the start. None of those hidden fees in your cart.
Delivered to your door or pick up same day. Darn tootin'.
Save time and money on prescriptions.
Hot foot at thegoodrx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Celebrate in red, white, and blue with Hammer and Nigel at Woodland Bowl January 16th. They're live at 3 and bowling kicks off at 6:30. Go to WIBC.com for your chance to win tickets to the sold-out Red, White, and Bowl presented by Jack Daniels and benefiting the Bowlers to Veterans link.
So we don't talk a lot of sports on this show, but we do when it sort of intersects with society. Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Now, of course, we talked earlier on the program about the Colts and their season wrapping up, and we did that because you are essentially a stakeholder in the Colts if you're in Central Indiana, most of you, whether you want to be or not, because your money is on the line. Your money is taken from you. The taxes have gone up. You're invested in the Colts. You have an interest, whether you're a football fan or not, in the Colts and how they're doing because your money's on the line and your money's a part of that. In the case of Indiana, I think they've just kind of captivated the nation. And that sounds so weird to say. Indiana football has captivated the nation. And a major part of that, look, I think there's two things at play. Number one is the quick way in which they turn this program around, right? I mean, like, this is unheard of to essentially be the worst program or one of the worst programs in all of college football, certainly over a period of time, and then become arguably the best. It's an incredible story. It's one of the most interesting stories in the past decade in sports, and that's very interesting to people. Also because Indiana is a major university, right? Clearly because of their basketball program. They've been on the national stage. Their baseball program has been outstanding. Their swimming program, it's not like it's some unknown school, and they have a massive fan base to begin with. So when the football program got good, there was a huge vacuum of people there to say, hey, we're interested in this now that the team is decent. But I also think, on top of the story of going from worst to first, which is fascinating, it's sort of an underdog story, which is weird as big as the university is the coach himself. I think Curt Cignetti and his sort of, like, Bob Knight never looked happy. And no matter how well IU did, Bob Knight never looked happy, but he also looked enraged and angry. Right? Like, he's throwing a chair. He's allegedly choking a kid. He's screaming at a ref. He's getting kicked out of games, right? Cignetti never looks happy, but he doesn't look enraged about it, right? I don't know. Does that make sense to you? Like, when you see him, there's all these memes, there's all these GIFs of him, the thing of him looking to see whether they got that first down where this is how I look at the donut shop when I'm figuring out which donuts to get. Like, it's funny. He's endearing. His lack of personality is endearing, and his facial expressions are endearing because there's something about a guy who's the best at what he does and yet never looks happy about it. Like, he always wants more, but he's not an ass about it. Like, I think that's what it comes down to Cignetti. Like, he seems like a very decent person who is just driven to be the best, and he's never happy even with what people perceive as perfection. And I mentioned all of this because he was asked about his coaching philosophy. And some of these coaches are like 24/7. I live in the locker room. I live in the film room. I'm always there. And Cignetti, and this surprised me, he said, nah, that's not me. Let's get it done. Let's do it to the best of our ability. Let's go home. Listen to this.
I was growing up, I didn't like when people wasted my time. And I don't want to waste the players' time. And I don't want to waste the coach's time. And I don't make the coaches stay at night. Maybe that's why I got guys been with me so long. All right? And we start at 7:30 in the morning like everybody else. And you stay till your work's done. And I'm not checking to see who's there and who isn't. Right? But I can tell you one thing. When we're in that office, it's all business. It is all business. It's organized, preparation. And we're on that practice field. Look, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, hour 35 to an hour 45. Hour 35 to an hour 45. Monday, walkthrough. Friday, shorter walkthrough. I believe in keeping them fresh and healthy. And our players like the way we run the program. We've had a great culture for the last 8 to 10 years downstairs. And you can't put a value on a great culture. Now, winning helps, no doubt. But the right kind of people believing in your process, your blueprint, your plan helps too.
Now, this so hit home for me because this is how I've sort of done everything I've ever done in my life. whether it's business or now radio or government. We know what needs to be done. And if we know what needs to be done, the key to getting that goal, accomplishing that goal, is putting people around you who you can trust and share your vision. And if you have people that are as dedicated to the cause, whatever that cause may be, as you are, whether it's business, whether it's sports, whatever. I mean, I think you could even say that the same thing about a home life, right? Like if you have a parent, if you're a parent and your wife or your husband as invested in parenting as you are, that's a great spouse to choose. Whatever the thing is, if you have people you can trust, you surround yourself by people you can trust who you know are as dedicated to the vision as you are, then you know that they know when they've put in the proper amount of effort, that they've put in the proper amount of time. And it all flows together in life. And we're talking about a football coach here. In life, whether, again, it's business or whatever, when everybody's moving with their hand on, I heard this when I was very young and it always stayed with me. When everybody's moving with their hand on the football in the same direction, that is a company, that is an organization, that is a sports team, that is a household that is going to succeed. And in the case of a Curt Cignetti, he only surrounds himself, whether it is players or coaches or administrators, who are as dedicated to the cause as he is, and he knows that he can trust them. So let's bring this back to how this affects our lives, because that was the point of playing this clip. It wasn't just that he's a great coach or that IU's the best or that IU's going to win the national championship. We all know that's going to happen, especially those of us who grabbed IU at plus 420 before the tournament started. Okay? The point of this is, compare that to your government, though. Do you believe that your elected officials, whether it's, let's just use the state assembly or the state lawmakers, but you could apply this to your county councilman, your city councilman, many of your mayors. Do you believe that they're as invested in a positive outcome in your life as you are? I mean, you are the customer. You are the fan base, essentially. You are the person. You're not buying merch, you're paying taxes. You're not buying tickets, you're paying taxes. You're funding what they're doing. You're funding their company. Do you think they are a fraction as invested in your life as you are? Do you think when the people they surround themselves with, I have this conversation all the time when I go to the local town council meetings in Brownsburg, and I say this to these people, and they stare at me because they have no idea what I'm saying. I say the problem with you people, which there are many, is you are more invested in the idea of the entity than the people in it. You always talk about, in my case, the town this, the town that. But what about how it affects the people in it? I don't give a damn about the town. It's not living, it's not breathing. But to the governmental people, the elected people, the high-ranking appointed people, I'm not talking about your rank-and-file government workers. There's many fine people. But the tippy-top people, whether it's at the federal level or the state level or the local level, they and the people around them are not invested in the same cause that you are. And rightfully so, you don't trust them, and we're not all moving in the same direction. It's a huge reason our society is so screwed up, because the shot callers, the head coaches, for lack of a better term, are not sharing the same vision that you have. We're not all. With Indiana now, it's all hands on deck. Whether you went there 1 year ago or you went there 50 years ago, everybody says, hey, let's go IU. Everybody's moving in the same direction, and Curt Cignetti knows that every person in that building shares the vision that he does. And until our government is that way, and the vision, and this is what's most important, Curt Cignetti's vision is win a national championship, win every game, go undefeated. The blueprint is very simple. In the case of our elected people, the vision from them should be to give you the best life possible, or more importantly, allow you to create the best life possible for yourself while taking the least, that ain't their vision. You know what their vision is? Help the people that give us the money. Help the donors. Help the lobbyists. It'd be like if the coach of Cignetti was playing, I don't know, North Carolina, and he was calling plays that fit the North Carolina defense. He wouldn't be calling plays to help himself, in this case, help his own team. He's calling plays to help the other team. And until that changes, until we're all like Curt Cignetti in IU football, with a shared vision of all hands on the football moving forward for the better lives of ourselves while taking less from us, we're going to have complete chaos in our government at all levels. All right, we've got a big second hour coming up. We've got to get into a major issue that for some reason, look, I'm totally guilty of this, that nobody here in central Indiana seems to be talking about. It's taking place in southern Indiana. And it came to my attention when this poll came out on Governor Braun about how people feel about him in his home county. And it was so brutally bad for him. I said, why is this? Why is this happening? And then I started looking into it. And the reason for this is shocking. The reason for this will blow your mind. We'll get into that. Tim Walz is apparently not running for re-election. We got to talk about the Minnesota daycare scandal. We got a huge second hour coming up. Casey's out today. Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Nobody cares for you like family. Family Heating and Air.
Maintenance is going to drastically increase the efficiency and performance of your system. It's also going to significantly improve the longevity of it. People think that they are saving money by skipping their maintenance, and in reality, they're just shaving years off the life and increasing the consumption of that unit, spending a lot more in the long term.
Get your tune-up today at Family Heating and Air, your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Tune in Saturdays 9 to 1 for the Home and Garden Show for advice and fun, brought to you by Michaelis. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it.
Hey guys, it's Rob for Wheat Grow Hair Indy. You know, champions just don't show up. They pick the right team to get the best results. And when it comes to restoring your hair, We Grow Hair Indy is that team. You know, 5 years ago, I made the choice to head over to We Grow Hair Indy, and every time I look in the mirror, I'm so glad I did. You know, guys at the top of their game, radio personalities, coaches, and well-known athletes have all trusted We Grow Hair Indy to restore their hair. Why? Because their results are permanent, natural, and speak for themselves. Here's what you do. You call today, 317-522-2995. 317-522-2995. Schedule a totally free, no-hassle, no-obligation consultation. Darren and the gang, the fine folks at We Grow Hair Indy, will take a look at what's going on top of your head and make some suggestions on how you can get your hair and your confidence back. Then it's up to you. In the meantime, see some other folks who have made the choice to get their confidence back by heading over to WeGrowHairIndy.com. 317-522-2995, 317-522-2995.
This is Denny Smith, and if you're on a well, peace of mind starts with knowing what's happening underground. Right now, C&J's offering their lowest price of the year, 20% off a 6-point well inspection, a professional check that helps catch small issues before they turn into expensive problems. From water pressure to system performance, C&J's technicians make sure your well is working the way it should, so your family gets safe, reliable water. Official partner of the Indiana Pacers and Fever, great systems, great people. 317-852-WELL, cj4water.com.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line.
But my throat has officially thrown in the towel. Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast!
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Coming up in 2 minutes from the Dugan Air Heating and Cooling Mitsubishi Electric Studios, warmer temperatures in Indiana. You hear what to expect on that this week, what one Indiana lawmaker thinks about the recent arrests in Venezuela, and a weekend drug bust in Putnam County. Those stories and much more coming your way after Fox News. You are listening to 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis, and it's now 10 o'clock.
An arraignment is in 2 hours in New York City. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. 2 days after Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro was captured along with his wife in a U.S. military raid. FBI Director Kash Patel tells Fox.
Every component of this operation, every link in this chain was flawlessly executed by the experts in the intelligence community and law enforcement and military sectors, and we were proud to be a part of it.
Maduro and Celia Flores are facing narco-terrorism and drug and weapons charges, flown by helicopter this morning from their jail cells in Brooklyn to a federal courthouse in Manhattan, where Fox's Eric Shawn reports.
The indictment says, quote, "This cycle of narcotics-based corruption lines the pockets of Venezuelan officials and their families, while also benefiting violent narco-terrorists who operate with impunity on Venezuelan soil and who help produce, protect, and transport tons of cocaine to the United States."
Later today, the Secretaries of State and War and others will brief congressional leaders about the raid that captured Maduro. Some Democrats have called it illegal. Not Senator John Fetterman. He tells Fox.
This wasn't a war. This wasn't boots on grounds and in that kind of a way. This was surgical and very efficient. And I want to celebrate our military.
President Trump says the U.S. is in charge of Venezuela now, and if the acting president, Delcy Rodriguez, does not do what's right, she could pay a very big price, probably bigger than Maduro. Congress will also hold its first hearing this week into multi-billion-dollar fraud allegations in Minnesota, where news just broke a short time ago. Democratic Governor Tim Walz will not run for re-election.
Amid a billion-dollar fraud scandal that's rocked Minnesota and ongoing state and federal probes into stolen tax dollars that mostly targets the state's Somali community. The Walz campaign releasing his statement ahead of his news conference, saying in part that Republicans are playing politics with the future of the state.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. The Secret Service made an arrest after midnight in Cincinnati, Ohio. A man accused of breaking windows, vandalizing Vice President Vance's residence. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
January warmth you may not expect. A sunny Monday morning so far. 38 degrees in downtown Indianapolis, but it feels like 28. I'm John Herrick. Here's what's trending at 10:02. It will be warmer than usual all across Indiana.
Southerly winds today should bring a nice warm-up. We're looking at highs close to 50 today, in the mid-50s potentially tomorrow and Wednesday, and then maybe even touching 60 by Thursday.
Matt Eckhoff with the National Weather Service in Indianapolis says southern Indiana is supposed to get the warmest temperatures, but then they cool back down into the 30s by this weekend with some light snow possible. Indiana Congressman Jim Baird reacting to the weekend arrest of Nicolas Maduro and Celia Flores in Venezuela.
I really appreciate President Trump having the courage and the intelligence to put together a team to be able to accomplish this kind of a mission and protect American citizens as well as take care of the Venezuelan people.
U.S. forces captured the couple at their fortified compound during Operation Absolute Resolve. A simple safety check on I-70 turned into a drug bust Saturday in Putnam County. Jake McDaniel reports.
State police stopped a semi-tractor trailer going from Missouri to Richmond and noticed something wasn't right. State Police Sergeant Matt Ames.
Some criminal indicators were observed from the trooper, and then he contacted one of our other ISP canine officers and had them come to the scene. And at that time, our canine indicated on the vehicle possible narcotics in the vehicle.
Troopers discovered an estimated $7 million worth of cocaine hidden inside. The two men inside, Gurpreet and Hasveer Singh, are now in the Putnam County Jail. Jake McDaniel, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
The season is over for the Indianapolis Colts, but Colts owner Carly Ursay-Gordon saying that there will be what she calls a state of the franchise at 2:30 this afternoon. She's already announced that Colts head coach Shane Steichen and general manager Chris Ballard will come back next season. The Colts finished this year at 8-9, and they've missed the postseason 5 years in a row now. The college football playoffs are in the semifinal round, where Indiana will face Oregon this Friday night in Atlanta. Indiana head coach Curt Cignetti said there's a lot about Oregon that impresses him.
You know, they've got a scheme where they keep you off balance with your pre-snap reads. They're huge inside, and the edge guys can really rush the passer.
Indiana beat Oregon in Oregon back on October 11th, and the winner of this game moves on to the national championship game in Miami, January 19th. I'm John Herrick on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. 10:04, Kendall and Casey coming back in 1 minute.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
That Somali daycare fraud story is real, and it is spectacular when it comes to showing just how wasteful and unaccountable our government is. And now it has cost Tim Walz his job. It's Kendall Casey show. Casey's out today. So the big news that has come down, Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, is now announcing that he will not seek re-election. So he's not resigning, but he is announcing that he will not seek re-election. That is how this Minnesota daycare fraud, the Somali daycare fraud story, this is how damaging it is. Now, look, the estimates are all over the place. It's as high as $9 billion in fraud. Now, some people are disputing it. I always love this when, like, they dispute these numbers. Okay, let's say it was $3 billion. Does it make it any better? I mean, when you're talking numbers that the average person can't even comprehend, like, is that the hill? I've been questioning this for the past, 2 weeks now, or week, or whatever it's been. Okay, so is that the hill you're going to $3 billion of fraud? It's not as bad as you think. No, it's massive. And you couple that, which, by the way, think about this. The phony outrage coming from the federal government. So right now, the Republicans run the federal government. That some YouTuber, some kid on YouTube, by the way, I'm in my early 40s now, so I can call people in their 20s. I can call them kids. Some kid in his 20s goes out and exposes this, and our federal government, now look, there was stuff going on, there had been certain indictments, there had been certain, criminal allegations that had taken place, but certainly nothing on a national scale. And now all of these Republicans in Washington, including the Trump administration, are acting outraged over this. Well, you had the full weight and power of the federal government behind you. One, why did you let this money go out? Because a lot of this started during COVID. I know people all the time get mad at me for saying what Trump and the Republicans did during COVID was inexcusable, and I will never stand behind somebody just because of a letter behind their name, because what they did and the damage that money printing did, the $5 trillion plus that they printed during COVID, and the damage that took place. So why did it take some guy on YouTube to expose this? And why are you, the federal government, whether it's U.S. senators or House members or the president or who, the president's administration, who are acting outraged over this? How does just some rank and file guy have better investigative powers than you do? The answer is he was motivated to go find it, so he did it. It wasn't hard to find. He just put the effort into it. That's what's so frustrating. That's what should be so frustrating to you about this. Look, you guys know my least favorite part of every show is when I have to come on and tell people how right I was. But this is why I've been screaming about this. And every time I say something negative about Trump, well, he's just turned into a big liberal. No, It's our money. And whether it's wasted by Republicans or Democrats, you should be outraged by it. Because one, you earned it. They took it from you. Your taxes are your liberty and freedom. I heard this years ago, and it's absolutely true. The money that you make is what you're willing to get, the price of your liberty and freedom. Because every dollar you earn, you have to give up your time to earn it. So you gave up your liberty and freedom. They took it from you. Then in the case of what happened during COVID, which is where a lot of this money came from, they just printed a whole bunch of money, which made everything unaffordable. Everything unaffordable. My thing that drives me insane is when people go, well, Biden-era inflation. Well, what about what the Republicans did in 2020? Does that $5 trillion not count? Does the $1 trillion annual deficits they ran pre-COVID not count? No, of course it all counts. And we don't want to indict our own side, and that's a major problem. It's why things don't get any better. It's why the Republicans always lie to us. It's why they always promise when they run, oh, we'll fix it, elect us, we'll get the spending under control, and they never do because we're not willing to hold them accountable. The Trump administration, the Republican-controlled Senate in 2020 printed this money. It made everything unaffordable. It's going to make future generations, my daughter, your kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, great-great-grandkids, have to pay this money off without a vote in any of it. And look at where it went. It's now right in front of us. All the things that I've been screaming about for 5 years now. That money went to this garbage in Minnesota. And it took some kid on the internet to find it. So no, when these senators, these Republican senators or the Trump administration screams outrage over it, I'm not buying it. You should have known it was happening. You never should have sent this money to begin with. How did this happen? Because this is what COVID was. It was about the government manufacturing a crisis. I'm not a person who doesn't believe COVID wasn't real. Certainly people were profoundly affected by it. People died and it was horrible. But the data on COVID was very clear from the beginning that there were certain people, I mean, everybody was going to get it for the most part, and most everybody did. That's the way a virus works. But there were certain people who were very much in harm's way for COVID, and those people should have sat out for a little while. No problem with that. But that's like 10% of the population. 90% of us could have kept going to work, could have kept everything going. We didn't need to print the money. We didn't need to send money to people. Because what happened, and we were saying this would happen from the moment they said they were going to do it, was that the majority of that money ended up in waste, fraud, and abuse. And you're seeing it right here in Minnesota. So if you are going to scream about this, which you should, and you're going to scream about how, at best, negligent and irresponsible Tim Walz and the Minnesota government was with your money, which you should, you can't scream at them without also screaming at the people who authorized the money. It didn't grow on a money tree. The state of Minnesota can't just print money. It was given to them by the federal government. And the same thing has happened in our state. To this level? Don't know. But ladies and gentlemen of the listening jury, I present to you the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, in which we have seen hundreds of millions of dollars. The Indy Star did a fabulous expose on this, in which hundreds of millions of dollars have gone to hyper-connected people. The money was delegated by hyper-connected people, and it went to companies that they were connected with. And many of these companies have produced zero tangible benefit that the average person can see. That's Republicans. That's Indiana. That's not just Minnesota. I bet if you look at every state in the union, you will find something similar. It could be in the daycare industry. It could be in a quasi-government, shadow government, economic development corporation. But it's happening everywhere. And by the way, it's super rich for our governor to brag about Indiana while taking shots at Minnesota. Our Medicaid system was so screwed up, they've had to make hundreds of millions of dollars of cuts to it because the state was going bankrupt. Why? Because while we don't have any proof we did it with daycares, We did it with Medicaid, in which we just put literally millions of people who were able-bodied people who could have gotten off their duffs and gone to work during COVID. Eric Holcomb, without a hint of pushback from the Republicans. Republican supermajorities. At least Minnesota's controlled by Democrats. We expect it from them, don't we? Oh, look at those Democrats. Well, now look at those Republicans. That's what this show is about. That's why we're so popular. That's why we're number one, because we tell you what both sides are doing, because both sides are screwing you equally. And in the case of Indiana, they were just as invested in the legalized vote buying industry as the Democrat states, in which they put millions of people, able-bodied people who should have been working on the quote-unquote free health care system, because they wanted you to believe that Eric Holcomb could shut society down and you wouldn't feel any pain, which is utterly ridiculous. So now it's all coming home. All the chickens are coming home to roost. All of these government people are rotten. Minnesota, rotten. Tim Walz, a disgrace. Think about it. He was almost the vice president of the United States. That's the quote-unquote cream of the crop in the Democrat Party. Yeah, be mad about that. But look at home. Look at ourselves. Look at what we're doing. And I think you're going to find there's a lot of that here, too. It's Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Hey, clickbait everywhere, but the facts, they're harder to find.
WIBC didn't just report the story, they really got into why it matters.
CEO of First American Nuclear believes we're heading into America's nuclear renaissance.
In 100 years, all successful nations will be powered by nuclear reactors. For the sake of our children, I'd like the U.S. to be one of them.
Oh, I check the WIBC website before I even open social media.
Online, on social, on air. Stay in the know while you're on the go with 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
My husband's an animal in bed.
Well, you know.
Not in the fun way. Think warthog. With a chainsaw.
Snoring and sleep apnea affect over 90 million people, and 1 out of 4 couples sleep in separate rooms. Advent can help. We've been your one-stop solution for nasal congestion, snoring, and sleep apnea for over 20 years. Unlike many other practices, we focus exclusively on these conditions, so you get comprehensive care under one roof. Advent's unique approach can help you breathe and sleep better, and many avoid a CPAP. Plus, most insurance is accepted for our effective 20-minute in-office treatments.
Hey, the only animal you want in your bed is your dog.
Advent. Sleep better. Sleep together. Learn how you can improve your life at adventknows.com.
Of all the times to buy a new Lincoln, right now is the very best time at Tom Roush Lincoln. $9,000 off a new Lincoln Corsair, $9,000 off a new Lincoln Nautilus, or $9,000 off a new Lincoln Aviator. Your choice of any of these great luxury cars, $9,000 off. So come get that new Lincoln from Tom Roush Lincoln, where our family's been serving yours for over 53 years.
Corsair stock number L25277, MSRP 5220. Nautilus stock number L25270, MSRP 57235. Aviator stock number L25246, MSRP 65165. See dealer for complete offer details.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline nasal spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Okay, everybody just calm down on Venezuela. If we just calm down and we have an honest discussion with each other, I think we'll see it's not as bad or as big as everyone thinks. But it's a worthy discussion. It's Kendall Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. So obviously, look, I mean, there's so many moving parts right now for a Monday. Welcome back to work, Rob. We got all this drama with Tim Walz announcing he's not running again. But the big story over the weekend, of course, was the U.S. Charging in. And I don't say this as a negative, but what do you call it? When you go into a country and you take a bunch of people and things out, you get the guy that's running the joint, right? Taking out Nicolas Maduro, the president of Venezuela. He is in the United States. He is scheduled for a court appearance at noon today. And like I started the program with, I find it fascinating sometimes to go on the internet and see how we are just void of the ability to go, well, okay, I think this, but I kind of also have this opinion too. And like, well, you just can't do that anymore. You're either all in one thing or you're all in the other. And in the case of getting rid of Maduro, my initial thought was, great. He is clearly a narco terrorist. He clearly is funneling huge amounts of drugs into this country. Those drugs are having a horrible impact on our society. The Trump administration, to their credit, has been, while I've been very critical of their spending and some of the other things they've done, they've been pretty much A+ in terms of attempting to secure the both southern and northern border of this country, and stamping out to the best they can. You're never going to stop it altogether, but stopping this poison from coming into our country and killing primarily young people. And I think that's an effort that we should all applaud. And so seeing Maduro be captured, especially when he has been charged in the United States under Biden, right? Even going back to Biden, they had a bounty on his head for $25 million. That's not like you ask the Democrats, these ones that are feigning outrage about this, and you say, well, then how did you propose Biden was going to get that? I mean, he put a $25 million bounty on the guy's head. One would presume if you have an IQ of above 13 that you wanted this guy captured and brought to the United States. So all of that, like, I reject all the people who are, he's a dictator, he's the blah, blah, blah. And by the way, the people who are having no kings protests are now mad that a literal essential king has been captured and brought to just, like, it's so interesting to see the Democrats do the, like, tippy-toe two-step on Maduro because they can't say anything but, hey, we're glad he's gone, but then they got to find some reason to hate Trump, right? So I reject all of that. It's good this guy's been captured. He is clearly a plague on society. We all should be able to nod in agreement and go, okay, that's great. However, there is now a vacuum in that country. I mean, I get there's a vice president. She doesn't seem to have any interest, based on her public statements, in working with the United States, even though she's apparently been given an opportunity. I don't think that's going to go very well. There's an opposition party. They have spoken out. The opposition party doesn't think we've done enough, by the way. That's how bizarro this is. But now what? And that has been the problem for generations with the United States. We're great at breaking things. We're great at seek, kill, destroy. Our fighting men and women are the just greatest, bravest people imaginable. But after that, then the bureaucrats get involved. And just like with everything else with our government, the bureaucrats always screw it up. I mean, maybe you can point to one or two instances where in the past 80 years post-World War II where you say, hey, the U.S. did a great job of rebuilding that country. They did excellent. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm saying I can point to several to you, way more than you can point to good ones where I go, that went horribly. And so rightfully so, you should be able to have the opinion and say, okay, it's great this guy's gone. We've got to stop the drugs coming in the country. Blowing up the boats didn't seem to be accomplishing it the way we wanted. Maybe this will do it. But it doesn't make you some narco-terrorist sympathizer or some leftist to go, yeah, I'm kind of concerned about now what, though? I really kind of have an issue based on our track record of what's going to happen now, especially the statements about we're taking over the oil fields. So Marco Rubio, he was on CBS's Sunday morning show, Face the Nation, I think is the name of it. And he tried to address some of this, and he said this is not the Middle East with a different mission.
We have been very clear from the beginning, because I still think that a lot of people analyze everything that happens in foreign policy through the lens of what happened from 2001 to 2015 or 16. The whole, foreign policy apparatus thinks everything is Libya, everything is Iraq, everything is Afghanistan. This is not the Middle East. And our mission here is very different. This is the Western Hemisphere. Within the Western Hemisphere, we have a country, potentially a very rich country, that has cozied itself up under the control of this regime, has cozied up to Iran, has cozied up to Hezbollah, has allowed narco-trafficking gangs to operate with impunity from their own territory, allows boats with drugs to traffic from their territory, and we are addressing that. And by the way, for 8-9 million people in the largest mass migration event in modern history have left that country since 2014.
But that regime is still in
having
place.
An impact on us. That is what we are addressing now.
When you spoke yesterday,
but we're not just addressing the regime. We are addressing the factors that are a threat to the national interest of the United States.
Okay, one of the things that really bothers me about that clip, he sort of gets angry over the people who are insinuating it could be the same thing. And those people, myself included, have every right to say that because that's the history of this government, both under Republicans and Democrats. That's what we do. The Middle East is sort of the blueprint. My generation, my friends, and I have many of them, were the ones who went and fought in those wars. Now, thankfully for me, all of my friends came home. Many of them, though, were not the same. Many of them have not lived productive, happy lives after their engagements in Iraq, Afghanistan, etc. The nation building, and it wasn't the battle itself to take those nations over or come in and try to free those people that got them messed up. It was the nation building afterwards. We're never leaving. We're never going home. They don't really have a lot of clear answers when he gets pressed on that because, well, you're saying regime change. Okay, but you've got the same woman, the vice president of this guy is in charge. So until we have this ability to kind of say, hey, I really support doing whatever we can do to end the flow of dangerous drugs into this country, but I'm going to need some more info on what's next. You're entitled to have concerns. Now, Rubio also got asked about the U.S. taking over the Venezuelan oil industry, and this is what he had to say.
If the purpose of the operation was to capture Maduro and bring him to justice, why does the United States need to take over the Venezuelan oil industry?
Well, we don't need to. First of all, let me go back up. We don't need Venezuela's oil. We have plenty of oil in the United States. What we're not going to allow is for the oil industry in Venezuela to be controlled by adversaries of the United States. You have to understand, why does China need their oil? Why does Russia need their oil? Why does Iran need their oil? They're not even in this continent. This is the Western Hemisphere. This is where we live. And we're not going to allow the Western Hemisphere to be a base of operation for adversaries, competitors, and rivals of the United States.
Have specific oil companies?
We also want to see that oil and the proceeds from it. Hold on. We want to see the oil proceeds of that country benefit the people of Venezuela. Why have 8 million people left Venezuela? 8 million, the single largest mass migration probably in modern history, left Venezuela in 2014 because all the wealth of that country was stolen to the benefit of Maduro and his cronies in the regime, but not to the benefit of people of Venezuela. You know how destabilizing 8 million migrants is? The number one fear that Brazil has, that Colombia has, that all these countries in the region have about what's happening in Venezuela and our involvement is they're afraid of another mass migration event. That's what they fear. This is deeply destabilizing stuff. It's not going to continue to happen. They are not going to come from outside of our hemisphere, destabilize our region in our own backyard, and us have to pay the price for it. Not under President Trump.
Yeah, I got no problem with this. If you're going to go in, if you're going to do it, right? Now, I do have some issues with what they did. But like I said, time will tell based on what they actually do now going forward. But if you're going to go in, and this is one of the major mistakes they made in Iraq. And look, Trump laid this out. He was talking for years in media appearances during the Iraq conflict, war, whatever you want to call it, about how what an egregious mistake we made about not taking over the oil. We're freeing quote unquote, freeing these people, right? Well, that has a price. Your freedom has a price, and that means we get made whole. And I would think that the world would be better served. Certainly we, the United States, would be better served, which is all I care about. If you're going to be there and you're going to do this, you're right. Don't just let some new bad actor come in and take over their greatest attribute. That's common sense if you're going to do it, that you're going to take over the thing that is their financial lifeblood. Absolutely. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we got to start talking about an issue that for some reason has not been on the radar of the media here. And I think, and it involves the governor, and it has the potential to be a massive story. We'll talk about it when we come back. Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Are you having a hard time making it through a day of work without foot pain or discomfort with things that used to be simple, like walking the dog? You may be thinking there's no way that something as simple as the Good Feet store can help you, like Bill.
My feet would just ache, my back would hurt, my ankles, everything just hurt. And I'd seen the commercial several times before I finally said, I'm going to do this. And I'll be darned if it didn't work. I feel a million times better than I ever did.
Another satisfied customer of the Good Feet store is Wendy.
Since wearing my arch supports from the Good Feet store, my back pain is gone and my feet don't hurt as much. And as I look into the future without pain, I see myself being even more adventurous, joyful, and full of possibility.
Come to the Good Feet store today for your free fitting and test walk. We're located in Castleton by the Fashion Mall or in Greenwood just off the 65. Or book your free fitting at goodfeet.com. Good Feet arch supports are HSA and FSA eligible. Discover your options at the Good Feet store.
Pat Sullivan here. Fire emergency? I've had one. If you do, call Michaelis. Owner Richard Michaelis explains why.
Michaelis is local and family owned. 39 years of experience with 24/7, 365 response. The Michaelis Corporation is IICRC certified, restoring your home or business to pre-loss condition or better.
And Michaelis helps you through the insurance process, giving you peace of mind. Water, storms, fire, and mold. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. Text or call 844-FIX-INDY.
If you suffer from burning, tingling, or numbness, pay special attention as we discuss neuropathy with Dr. Matt Scholke, chiropractic neurologist and board certified in neuropathy. What is neuropathy?
Neuropathy is nerve damage in the feet or hands.
What are the symptoms?
The symptoms are numbness, burning, tingling, pain, and loss of balance.
Is neuropathy treatable?
Absolutely, and we get amazing results.
If you have burning, tingling, numbness, pain, or balance issues, call Dr. Scholke today for a free nerve damage screening. This screening will tell if you're at risk for serious complications and if you're a candidate for their specialized treatment program. Don't wait until your symptoms are so severe, nothing can be done. End-stage neuropathy leaves people confined to walkers, wheelchairs, even amputations. The first 10 callers will receive a free nerve damage screening. Simply call 463-400-FEET. Act now. Call 463-400-FEET. That's 463-400-3338 for your free nerve damage screening. 463-400-FEET.
Hey, this is Spencer Thompson at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus. 2026 marks our 99th year in business, and we are going to make it the best year yet, and we're starting out with a bang. Now through Monday, we guarantee you the lowest price on every sectional, recliner, mattress, sofas, and more, including Lazy Boy and Tempur-Pedic, plus free delivery, interest-free financing, and cash discounts. Hurry, sale ends Monday only at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
Lose weight or stop smoking with hypnosis, guaranteed or your money back. Only $59.99. Destroy unwanted cravings, late night eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating. Also destroy your desire to smoke without cravings, irritability, or weight gain, or your money back. Hypnosis January 29th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss of 5:30 p.m., stop smoking at 8. And January 31st at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss 11 a.m., stop smoking at 2. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
This year, it was important for my business to start strong.
Starting weak is not recommended.
But first, I needed a lot of stuff for the office.
Sounds like a shopping spree.
I just went to Staples. They have great prices on everything, like ink, toner, printers, paper, and chairs. And now, you can get up to 30% off select HP printers.
Up to 30% off HP printers? Am I on a hidden camera show?
No.
Well then, let's go Staples.
That was easy.
Shop Staples in-store, online, or on the app. Ends 1/31. Select models only.
Call today or go to bwindow.com and receive up to 60% off plus 24 months, same as cash with 0% interest.
Because at B-Window,
we mean business.
We mean business.
Trust me.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
The Venezuelan president in the Big Apple. Mostly sunny and 39 degrees from our Radio 1 studios. I'm John Herrick. Here's what's trending at 10:33. After being captured by U.S. forces over the weekend, ousted Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has arrived at a federal court in Manhattan, and security is tight at that courthouse. Maduro and his wife are facing drug trafficking, conspiracy, and other charges. Well, that military operation has caused flight restrictions in the Caribbean, which has left thousands of flyers stranded. This man is one of them.
It's been a mess. We've been delayed more than 6 hours.
You're advised to check your flight status before going to the airport. Also, a ground stop has been issued for Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport because of fog. Colder weather might mean drier skin for you. Cleveland Clinic dermatologist Shilpi Ketterpal recommends that picking a good moisturizer and using it right after the shower is a wise move.
Normal dry skin can just feel flaky, but it's not itchy. If the skin becomes like red, itchy, then that's, it could be more than that or develop developing like eczema or dermatitis, it would be important then to see a dermatologist.
She also recommends using a humidifier at night and putting petroleum jelly on dry areas before bed. I'm John Herrick on The Level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Express yourself. Okay, so let's talk about an issue that our media here for some reason isn't covering, and I want to change that. It's Kendall Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Okay, so one of the things that happened over Christmas break while I was gone, and all the good stuff always happens after I'm gone, right? So it's like, I got to get back to work. You have 3 weeks off, but I got to go back. This poll came out on Governor Mike Braun, from his home county. So this poll came out from his home county, Du Bois County, southern Indiana, for those of you not aware, southwestern Indiana. And the poll revealed, it was done by Public Policy Polling. That's a known entity. This wasn't like Grandma's Incorporated or whatever, right? Like, it's a known polling entity. Doesn't mean they're best. It just means you've probably heard of them. They've done polling before. You've probably seen in the news. And in this poll, it revealed that Mike Braun had a 62% disapproval rating in his home county. 62%. Only 16% of the people in his home county approved of the job he's doing. Now, look, we've shown you poll after poll of statewide surveys that have shown Braun in the 30s, low 30s. People are mad at the governor. He failed on property taxes. Utility bills are skyrocketing. He's just paid lip service and did nothing to clean up the IEDC. There's a list of endless things he didn't deliver on last year. And that's understandable why those numbers would be what they are. But to have a 16% approval rating in your home county, I mean, no matter how bad somebody's doing, you're like, hey, that's our guy. That's our dude. We love him. Yeah, those people, they don't know what they're talking about. That's the hometown kid made good. He has the lowest approval rating maybe of all in the entire state in his home county. And so I saw this, and I said, something is going on here. Either this poll is completely screwed up, or we need to dig deeper into this. Why are people in Mike Braun's home county so against him? And so I started looking into the poll a little bit, and I talked to some people who were somewhat familiar with the poll, and then eventually got in touch with the people who commission the poll themselves, and you start working through the poll, and you realize, no, I think the poll, at least scientifically, is pretty well done. I think the way they sampled, et cetera, it's not like ridiculous. Now, is it actually 16%? No. Is it maybe 20? Okay, the point is, though, the poll, I think, is accurate in the reflection of the way people feel about the governor in his home county. And if the people who know you best have the lowest opinion of you, the question is why? What is it about Mike Braun that has people in his home county this pissed off? It can't just be that he failed on property taxes. Like, I'm sure the property taxes in Du Bois County are bad like everywhere else. That can't be it. And yeah, the utility bills are high, but it has to be more than that. And when you start digging and you start calling around, I have some connections down there, some people that I am kind of trust. And what you realize is the hatred, because when you have a 16% approval rating in your home county, that's hatred. This hatred for Mike Braun goes back literally at this point over a decade. And it's about a project called the Mid-States Corridor Project. And what the Mid-States Corridor Project is a proposal, a multi-billion-dollar proposal for just a little over 20 miles of road to connect 64 to 69. Essentially allow you to get from Memphis to Indianapolis. And this road, a huge portion of it, of the infrastructure, and now multiple counties are impacted on this, by the way, but a major portion of this runs through the heart of Du Bois County. Now, you would say, well, why is Mike Braun being held to account on this? Because the people down there believe, dating back to his time in the House of Representatives, Mike Braun has pushed for this project to be completed against. I mean, there is outrage for this project. As unpopular as Braun is, that project, the Mid-States Corridor project, is even more unpopular. And yet, for some reason, dating back to his time in the Indiana House of Representatives, Mike Braun has pushed this very unpopular project in his home county. Why would he do that? Well, keep in mind, what is the project? The project is trying to connect 64 to 69 with the primary purpose of doing what? Making it easier to move things. And for those of you who are not familiar, and I know we have the most knowledgeable audience in all the world, but for those who are passing by and may not be fully aware, how did Mike Braun make his money? Well, Mike Braun made his money by starting a company, according to their own website, in the mid-1980s, MeyerDistributing.com, if you'd like to read this for yourself, by the way, don't take my word for it. Mike Braun started a company in the mid-1980s called Meyer Distributing. And here's how Meyer Distributing describes themselves. Today, Meyer Distributing is a leader in specialty products, marketing, and distribution. Through numerous strategically positioned warehousing facilities, Meyer services thousands of customers nationwide via Meyer Logistics Direct Ship. All Meyer associates have but one goal: to improve our ability to offer the fastest, most flexible, and most reliable service in the industry. Our hardworking sales staff mix over 700 product lines, and our high fill rate provide retailers with what they need to be profitable on a dependable, repeatable basis. Mike Braun made his fortune, and he always presents himself as some sort of small businessman, right? No, Mike Braun is stupid rich. He owns a mega company, and he made that money shipping stuff, moving stuff, and most importantly, being able to move it faster, or at least telling people he can move it faster and more reliably than anybody else. Are you starting to put the pieces together? Why a guy who owns a company that makes their money on moving stuff and moving stuff faster would be willing to push a project that his home county loathes? Are you starting to put the dots together here? We're talking a multi-billion-dollar project, and they can't do it alone. Now, can I put my tinfoil hat on here for a second? Do you remember a couple weeks ago, I guess a month ago now, when Mike Braun started talking about punishments from the federal government if we didn't do redistricting? Remember how he freaked out and people were like, why is he freaking out over this? Why is he so obsessed with this thing, the redistricting? And remember how he screwed up and then his lieutenant governor tweeted out that the Trump administration said they were going to punish Indiana if we didn't do what they wanted with redistricting, and then he deleted the tweet. Somebody told him to take the tweet down. Would you really have to make that big of a jump to think that a multi-billion-dollar project certainly needs a lot of help from the federal government? Would it really be that big of a jump to think that maybe one of the things that they were going to be the Trump administration was going to be willing to help on, and maybe not so helpful now on, would be this Mid-States Corridor, which clearly would, I think any person with an IQ above 20 would think that'd be very helpful to our governor's business. Is it all starting to maybe sort of come together now, maybe that this could be happening? We're going to start talking a lot. Because remember, the Kendall and Casey show were the ones who broke the story on Tom Kleinhelter, that totally rotten sheriff down there who was Mike Braun's close political ally, who had that 80-page probable cause affidavit against him by the Indiana State Police related to misuse of commissary money. And that once Braun got elected governor, those charges or potential charges or recommendation for charges in the probable cause affidavit all suddenly just went away. Boop, there it went. We broke that story and it became a statewide story. And my pledge to you, if you saw this yesterday on social media, at Rob M. Kendall, 2026 is going to be the year of you, the listener. 2026, I am up in my game in 26 because these elected people, they are rotten. And when we talk about rotten people, Mike Braun is at the top of the list because he looked 1,000 of my friends in the eye and lied to them. People had to take days off work and pay to park and give it themselves and go to that rally. And he lied to you. And I told you to come. I told you to be there. I said, Braun's going to deliver for us. And he lied. He lied to me and he lied to you. And you don't lie to my friends. You don't lie to my audience. 2026 is going to be the year of you. We are going to hold these people accountable like never before. And we are going to start. And this week, it's going to start this week. We're going to have some very, very knowledgeable people on this Mid-States Corridor project. They're going to be joining us throughout this week because I think this project stinks and we're going to get to the bottom of it. Hammer's going to join us next. Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Happy New Year. Hammer and Nigel Show back live Monday afternoon with the biggest stories in Indy and a whole lot of fun. We hope you join us.
Are you ready for retirement or just hoping for the best? At Wise Money Radio, we bring you the strategies, stories, and straight talk you need to make your money work smarter so you can live wiser. From taxes and healthcare costs to Social Security and income planning, we cut through the noise to give you the clarity you deserve. Listen to Wise Money Radio with Joe Wilson of Omega Wealth Private Capital, Saturday mornings at 5 right here on 93.1 WIBC.
The holidays are here. Is endless hot water at the top of your Christmas wish list? Luckily, my friends at Hope Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling are offering an amazing special during the holiday season. $1,000 off a tankless water heater. Give the gift of endless hot water and save $1,000 by calling Hope Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling today. Stay warm this holiday season with endless hot water from Hope Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Give them a call at 641-HOPE. That's 641-HOPE.
Hey guys, it's Rob for Wheat Grow Hair Indy. You know, champions just don't show up. They pick the right team to get the best results. And when it comes to restoring your hair, We Grow Hair Indy is that team. You know, 5 years ago, I made the choice to head over to We Grow Hair Indy. And every time I look in the mirror, I'm so glad I did. You know, guys at the top of their game, radio personalities, coaches, and well-known athletes have all trusted We Grow Hair Indy to restore their hair. Why? Because their results are permanent, natural, and speak for themselves. Here's what you do. You call today, 317-522-2995. 317-522-2995. Schedule a totally free, no-hassle, no-obligation consultation. Darren and the gang, the fine folks at We Grow Hair Indy, will take a look at what's going on top of your head and make some suggestions on how you can get your hair and your confidence back. Then it's up to you. In the meantime, see some other folks who have made the choice to get their confidence back by heading over to WeGrowHairIndy.com. 317-522-2995, 317-522-2995.
Hi, I'm Tom Connors. Went to Mark Patrick's hypnosis seminar February 6, 2019. Nothing worked before. Left there and never smoked again. Amazing. Easy, affordable, and guaranteed. A year later, with my wife Michelle, attended Mark Patrick's weight loss seminar. She lost 18 pounds and I lost 43 in 8 weeks.
It's true. He smoked 2 packs a day and nothing worked until Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Now we're losing weight together, eating healthy, full on half the food, crazy, enjoying exercising. Who would have believed Mark Patrick Hypnosis really works?
It's amazing. I can breathe again, my blood pressure went down, and I've got so much energy.
So much energy.
And look great.
Lose weight or stop smoking with hypnosis. Only $59.99. Destroy unwanted cravings. January 29th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking at 8. Or January 31st, Holiday Inn Express Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss 11 a.m. Stop smoking at 2. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
Step into the spotlight with Dancing with the Stars. Catch the live show at Old National Center Wednesday, February 25th. Reserve your seats and tickets today at WIBC.com.
There is so much going on with football right now. It's hard to even keep track of it, but most importantly, there's a chance for you to make money. Let's get to the bottom of it. It's Kendall Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Let's go to the WIBC hotline. Jason Hammer, one half of the Hammer and Nigel Show, joins us now. Hammer, hello.
Yo, yo.
All right, so let's point out our multi-year adventure of you joining us at 10:45 on the regular. That is going to stop now because our new studios don't accommodate for you to be here early.
Yeah, I've got nowhere to work. I no longer have an office or a desk or a cubicle. The producers, they've got cubes in the back. Like every single news reporter, God bless them, congratulations, they've got a desk and a cubicle in the newsroom. I've got nowhere, so I work on the show at home now, Rob.
Yeah, so we're going to put a little bit of an end to this. However, we did want to bring you back today because there's so much going on with football and a chance for people to make money. First of all, let's start with the Colts. Like I think Colts fans should be outraged that they're bringing these two guys, Ballard and Steichen, back, the general manager and coach of the Colts. It's just the same thing every year. It never changes. What say you?
Yeah, this is Groundhog's Day, right? I feel like we were having this same conversation a year ago when it was reported that everybody was coming back. Like, the Colts have not won a division in a decade, and it's not like this is the toughest division in football. Now, Houston and Jacksonville getting better. They were both actually pretty good this year, but over the last 10 years, the AFC South has been, without question, the absolute worst division in football, and the Colts have won it 0 times. The old Blutarski grade point average, 0.0. And, okay, take division titles out of the equation here. Make the playoffs. I mean, look at some of the very average, mediocre teams that are making the playoffs now. And you can't make the playoffs in 5 years. I honestly thought things would be a little different under Carly. She seemed like she's got a little bit more of an edge than her old man. Maybe she wasn't as loyal to people as her old man was. But, yeah, this is just a bad look, Now, before I just crap all over the Colts, I do think pieces are there. It's not like the Colts are the Jets or the Titans. You've got probably the best running back in the league, a stud rookie tight end. If you can get Sauce Gardner to be healthy for a year, that helps your defense. But you got to get a pass rush. You're banking on Daniel Jones being decent. Not even Patrick Mahomes. You're banking on Daniel Jones being decent next year. You got to make the playoffs.
Hammer joins us, Kendall Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. All right, so Hammer, you and I have to work through a life conundrum that I have. I think you think I'm going to do the right thing here, but I'll give you a chance to work through it with me. I put this up on Twitter at Rob M. Kendall if people want to participate in the poll. So somehow the Bears got the 2 seed, even though they lost their final 2 games. I still don't understand. Do you understand why the Eagles didn't play any of their players? I don't understand that at all. They lost a game they should have won because the Redskins stink. But for some reason, the Eagles chose to basically throw the game by not playing their players, and so the Bears got the 2 seed.
I love you're upset that you got the 2 seed. Like, you're mad that you got the 2 seed. Like, you should be happy. You were in last place a year ago, Rob, and you got the 2 seed in the NFC. Shut up.
All right.
Quit complaining.
Here's the conundrum. So the Bears are going to play the Packers, by the way. Can we all agree it's ridiculous that they're putting an NFL playoff game? The NFL is the largest, most profitable sporting league in the world, and they're putting one of their playoff games on a streaming service. That's ridiculous, right?
Yeah, I'm not all into the streaming thing, and I know everybody's going to be like old man yelling at the cloud, but, I mean, look at sports fans and the numbers, and I put sports entertainment in that same category. Since WWE went to ESPN's streaming platform, the numbers have tanked. I mean, absolutely tanked. People hate signing up for new accounts. Now, if you've already got an Amazon account, okay, fine. But there's a lot of folks out there, like my parents' age, like your old man's age, Rob, that, they might not understand this stuff as much, and it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I told him he's got to come over to my house to watch that game. I said, you better be nice to me this week, or you're going to be out of luck, dude.
You're going to make your dad sit out in the cold.
Okay, so here's my conundrum. So the Bears are playing the Packers, and I've seen this rodeo play out too many times where the Packers just ruin my week, they ruin my month, they ruin my year. The Bears somehow find a way to lose to the Packers, and now I'm staring at the process, Hammer, of having to, or the prospects of having to go like 8 months knowing the Packers could end my season. So here's what I'm considering doing, and you tell me what you think about this. I'm considering doing the largest wager I've ever done times about 3 on the Packers to beat the Bears. That way I can't lose. Either I would gladly pay this amount of money for the Bears to beat the Packers and have that in my pocket for 8 months, or I win money. I feel like this is a can't-lose proposition. What say you?
First of all, the largest wager that you've ever made times 3. What are you betting? $5 here, Rob?
$60. $60.
Okay. Oh, that's big for you.
That's
Holy
huge.
Geez. Okay. Congratulations. Yeah, you can't lose this game. This is like when the Cubs and Cardinals got into that playoff series together. I don't care what happens after this. You have to beat these guys because you don't want to hear the rivalry smack talk afterwards. So if this means you can buy a little bit of happiness and get something positive out of the game, even if your team loses, I think you've got to do it. Like if I'm an IU diehard football fan, I would consider doing the same thing. It's not as big of a rivalry, obviously, IU and Oregon, but it's called hedging your bet. Put a little bit on Oregon, and that way at the end of the night, either you're happy that your team won and you're willing to eat the cost for joy, or you've made a little bit in your bank account. Either way, I think you get something out of it. And in your case, with this being the biggest and best rivalry in the NFL, you've got to go big on this one, kid.
What's coming up this afternoon, Hammer?
We're going to recap crazy weekend, the latest on the Venezuela situation. Guy Relford will join us. Kevin Bowen will join us. And we're off and rolling on a Moonshine Monday.
There you go. Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Neighborhoods are popping up everywhere, but if you want something different than what you're currently seeing, Joyner Homes, based out of Greenfield, can build you a unique, custom home on your own private lot or anywhere you can bring your own builder. They've built hundreds of homes across central Indiana. Visit Joyner Homes Model Homes or go to joynerhomes.com to see floor plans and pricing and more. With Joyner Homes, you can even start from scratch if you want. Check out their 5-star Google reviews and visit joynerhomes.com.
Farnsworth Metal Recycling, a familiar face in Indy.
Farnsworth Metal Recycling will pay you cash for your scrap metal. Ray's Demolition and Farnsworth Metal Recycling may seem familiar to you, and that's because they are. They're trusted local family-owned businesses going back 3 generations in Indy with their familiar orange logo and a name you know. But you may not know they'll pay you cash for your scrap metal. Cash is king. Your scrap aluminum, steel, copper, and brass will get you cash from Farnsworth Metal Recycling. Just drop it off and you'll put cash in your pocket. Ray's Demolition and Farnsworth Metal Recycling. Local names you can trust with 2 locations.
Farnsworth Metal Recycling, a familiar face in Indy.
Get cash for your scrap. Get started at farnsworthmetals.com.
1 in 4 Americans have a disability. I'm one of them. I'm also a working mom who cares deeply about making sure every child with a disability thrives by getting their access needs met. We've got a trusted ally by our side. Easter Seals provides children and families the foundation for lifelong success through early learning programs, skills training, and prep for college and career. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours. Join us at easterseals.com.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
At Advent, we help sleep apnea sufferers avoid the CPAP machine by getting your nose and throat working with our unique Advent approach that you won't find elsewhere.
Advent knows.
Call today or go to bwindow.com and receive up to 60% off plus 24 months, same as cash with 0% interest.
Because at B-Window,
we mean business.
We mean business.
Your one blood donation can help save the lives of up to 3 people. Give blood through the American Red Cross to help hospital patients. Visit redcrossblood.org today.
Coming up in 2 minutes from the Dugan Air Heating and Cooling Mitsubishi Electric Studios, why the temperatures you're about to experience are unusual for this time of year, what the American Red Cross is saying about the state of the blood supply in Indiana and nationwide. Those stories and more coming up after Fox News on 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis, it's 11 o'clock.
2 days after being captured in Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro will be in a courtroom in New York. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. He and his wife, who were taken into custody in that U.S. military raid, were flown from their jail cells in Brooklyn this morning to the Manhattan Federal Courthouse, where Fox's Tanya J. Powers reports.
He's facing charges including narco-terrorism, and he and his wife are both accused of conspiracy to import cocaine. Maduro's arraignment is set for noon, and his lawyers are expected to argue that he is immune from prosecution as a sovereign head of state. Outside the courthouse, security is tight, with many NYPD officers and barricades, lots of media crews. Wind chills are in the mid-20s. They are not stopping protesters, though, who have planned a demonstration against President Trump just feet from where I'm standing.
Now, the president says the U.S. is in charge now in Venezuela, though Maduro's VP, Delcy Rodriguez, has been sworn in as the acting president. She put out a statement saying they want peace and dialogue. But the president tells reporters on Air Force One on his way back to the White House last night, if Rodriguez does not do what's right,
she will face a situation probably worse than Maduro.
Congressional leaders will get a briefing on the Venezuela raid later today. Many Democrats have called it illegal, but Republican Congressman Derek Van Orden praised the operation's success with no American deaths, telling Fox,
This is the stuff that legends are made of.
Secretary of War Pete Hegseth will be part of that briefing. He has just censured this morning Democratic Senator Mark Kelly, a retired Navy captain, cutting his military retirement pay after Kelly and other Democrats had recently warned U.S. troops about carrying out orders that are illegal. There's news out of Minnesota. Democratic Governor Tim Walz has dropped his bid for re-election amid federal investigations into these fraud allegations.
These Somalian daycares and businesses would really just set up like sham companies, fake businesses, apply for government grants, and then pocket the taxpayer cash. Prosecutors say it's been going on for years, but it's gone viral in the past few days. DHS is on the ground asking businesses, show us how you're using this cash.
That's Fox's Alexis McAdams. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Some places look to be warmer than others. Partly cloudy and 42 degrees in the Circle City. I'm John Herrick. Here's what's trending at 11:02. Highs will get into the 50s today for most of Indiana, which Matt Eckhoff at the National Weather Service in Indianapolis says is unusual for this time of year.
Southern Indiana seeing the warmest temperatures through midweek. Northern Indiana maybe closer to into the 40s. So the further south you are, the warmer you're going to see.
He says rain is possible Thursday into Friday before a cool down into the 30s happens this weekend. This month is National Blood Donor Month, and Johnette Cruz reports on what the American Red Cross is saying.
Following a busy holiday season and severe December weather, blood supplies are currently being distributed to hospitals faster than they're being collected. Red Cross officials say types O, A negative, and B negative are especially in high demand. To keep the momentum going, they've teamed up with NFL star Saquon Barkley to urge Hoosiers to get in the game and donate. You can find local drives in Indianapolis and surrounding counties by visiting redcrossblood.org. Johnette Cruz, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
If you live in Indianapolis and you previously had your trash collected by Waste Management or Republic Services, you now have a new company, Lakeshore Recycling Systems, that's handling your garbage. The Indianapolis Department of Public Works signed a 10-year contract with Lakeshore to take over trash collection in areas currently served by those previous companies. And if you have any questions, you're urged to contact the Mayor's Action Center. Indianapolis Colts fans expressing their disappointment to Wish TV about their team not making the playoffs for the 5th straight year.
We're not going to have a Peyton Manning ever. I mean, he's one of a kind, so we just kind of need to let that go.
I mean, it would be nice to see somebody consistent and not turn over every year.
The Colts finished this season 8-9, with their final loss being to the Houston Texans on Sunday, 38-30. Colts owner Carly Ursay Gordon said says there'll be a State of the Franchise address at 2:30 this afternoon. And you can now show your support for special organizations with 5 new special group recognition license plates available in Indiana this year. Those plates allow you to display your support for nonprofits, colleges, and universities with the group license plate fee going directly to that respective organization. I'm John Herrick on The Level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. It's 11:04. Kendall and Casey coming back in 1 minute.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in tax debt? Do not ignore this message. The IRS has more power than any collection agency in America. Often without warning, they can garnish your wages, levy your bank account, place a lien on your home, seize assets like your business, and revoke your passport. Every year, thousands lose their paychecks overnight or have their assets seized because they waited too long. You don't have to face the IRS alone. Call Federated Tax today. We'll connect you with an experienced tax professional who will negotiate with the IRS on your behalf. You may qualify for IRS hardship programs like the Fresh Start Initiative or many other programs that can stop garnishments, stop bank account seizures, reduce or eliminate penalties, and lower your settlement amount. You deserve to maintain your life. Don't let the IRS take it over. Make the call today to Federated Tax, 370-1384. The call and consultation are absolutely free. 800-370-1384. 800-370-1384.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
The former governor's closest political ally and one of his best friends pays a lot of money to try to make things whole. It's Kendall Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. So Jamie Knoll, many of you longtime listeners, you're very familiar with the Jamie Knoll saga, but just to reset who this guy is, and then we'll get to the latest on what's going on with him. Jamie Knoll is the former sheriff of Clark County, Indiana. Clark County, for those of you who may not be familiar with county by county of our fabulous state, that's the Jeffersonville area. It's as far south as you can basically possibly go. Jamie Knoll was the sheriff of Clark County, Indiana. He was also one of the most powerful. He was a county party chairman, and he was one of the most powerful Republicans in the state. He was a part of what they call the Central Committee. That made him one of probably the 20 most powerful Republicans in the state, and quite honestly, probably one of the 5 most powerful Republicans in the state, because he was thick as thieves with former Governor Eric Holcomb. He was an integral part of Holcomb getting elected, reelected, and was so close with Holcomb that and I believe these photos have now since been deleted, but photos of Holcomb with the family, checking on the family, et cetera. I mean, these guys were really tight. And at one point, Jamie Knoll actually garnered national attention when he was featured in I believe it was A&E did the program. It was called 60 Days In. It was a reality television show in which, again, I think it was A&E, partnered with Knoll as the sheriff of Clark County, and they put undercover people in the jail, like non-criminals in the jail, and they had hidden cameras, and their job was to get information on what was going on in the jail. It went several seasons, I believe. It was a fascinating program. I think they did multiple jails, but Knoll was a part. I believe the initial season was the Clark County Jail, and Jamie Knoll was one of the stars of that program as the sheriff. Anyway, Jamie Knoll last year pled guilty to I believe it was more than a dozen felony charges. Friends at the Indiana Capitol Chronicle, amongst others, all sorts of news outlets across the state reported on this, related to essentially stealing money, stealing resources based on his position of authority, whether it be nonprofits, issues related to his time as sheriff and having people do work on his properties. He was a rotten, nasty individual. And for that, he ended up his blatant misuse of the public trust. He, I believe he got 15 years in prison. Most people think he'll serve 10-ish of those, and that remains to be seen. However, another part of this was the guy stole upwards of $3 million, and then that put the onus on the government, the court system, to figure out where did that money go and how do we try to make these organizations that he stole it from whole, these nonprofits, the taxes, all of these things. And his wife and daughter were ultimately implicated in this as well. And so as of Christmas Eve, Knoll paid back, or Knoll didn't pay back, the government on the assets the government was able to seize and then liquidate, paid back about $2.3 million. And of that, roughly 300,000 or so went to various fees, the auction company that auctioned the stuff, et cetera. So only about 2 million of the 3 million that he swindled, for lack of a better term, out of good and decent people and our government and us as taxpayers was made whole. And so now that part of the case is essentially closed. And it comes back to, and anytime Jamie Knoll pops up in the news, I will ask this question, which is, how has no one in the media, other than really this program, asked the question, how is it possible that Eric Holcomb could not have known that arguably his best friend and closest political ally, while he was governor, by the way, we're not talking about when they were back in the day when they were two, babes playing in the woods, right? Two young lads. He's the sitting governor of the state of Indiana. This guy was an integral part, so close to him that he was an integral part of his elections as governor. He was, on numerous occasions, checking in, hanging out with Knoll's family, et cetera. How is it possible that he didn't know that this guy was living millions of dollars above his means? And I just can't buy for a second. Think about whoever your best friend is, whoever it might be. You don't have any idea what they're doing on a daily basis. They could be doing things that are nefarious and you don't know about it. And I don't expect you to. But if they suddenly started buying amazing clothes or extra houses or going on trips or smoking the finest cigars, and you looked at their job and said, your job, in this case, the guy was a sheriff, it doesn't pay that much. Wouldn't you be asking yourself and asking them, hey, Harold, did you hit the lottery? How are you doing this? Did you get into crypto? And yet, we're led to believe that Eric Holcomb, the sitting governor of the state of Indiana, arguably his best friend and closest political ally, was living millions of dollars above his means, and he had no idea. And when you couple that with all of the money that it has come out, that Eric Holcomb and the Holcomb administration were aware of, that was going into the IEDC, and then Holcomb is essentially the de facto head of the IEDC. Hundreds of millions of dollars was going to companies, of the decisions made by board members, people in charge of the IEDC, of the companies that they were running. And Holcomb is the de facto head of the IEDC as the governor. He didn't know about that either. When you really start peeling back the onion on the Holcomb administration, you, I think, are going to find one, at best, misuse and abuse of taxpayer money after another, either by their administration or people that are connected to them, connected to him. We can look at Minnesota all we want, because obviously that's in the news, and the big news this morning is Tim Walz announcing he's not going to run for re-election. And we can look at that, and we can say that is egregious. That is horrible. How dare those people abuse billions of taxpayer dollars? And you should. But you would be making a horrible mistake if you just saw the state of Minnesota and said, those rotten Democrats. Because look at what happened under the previous administration here. The IEDC, Medicaid, countless government programs in which waste, fraud, and abuse has been found. Why don't we get outraged about it here? Is it any less wasteful or less abusive or any less ridiculous because the people calling the shots on the waste, the fraud, and the abuse had an R next to their name instead of the D? And look at who the governor hung out with. Look at who one of his closest friends and political allies was. Now spending all of this time in prison and coming up $1 million short on the restitution. You are kind of the company you keep. And I really haven't heard Eric Holcomb ever in any sort of forceful, consistent capacity reject Jamie Knoll or say anything really about it. I think he got asked about it maybe once or twice when he was governor and, gave some mealy-mouthed answer like he usually does. But people need to look into what happened during the Holcomb administration. There's a lot of horrible people that he hung around with and hung out with and was associated with and was in his orbit. And there were a lot of people who did a lot of rotten things as it relates to our money. And for some reason, our media just wouldn't touch that while he was governor, and I don't understand it. It's Kendall Casey Show. I did want to touch on this real quick. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. There was a fascinating story. WRTV had the article about how much debt people racked up during the holidays. And the number is staggering. I'll tell you what, we just saw the clock here. We'll take a break. We'll get into this when we come back because people got some spending problems. We gotta have some financial accountability talk when we come back. It's Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Trump 1 year later, the highs, the lows, how we win the midterms, happening at the Hyatt Regency, downtown Indianapolis. The bourbon will flow, the food will be fantastic. We're going to go over Trump's past year and how we use that to win the midterms. It's going to be informing, entertaining, and very, very funny. I promise. Join us, Trump 1 year later, brought to you by Premier Arms, PA Jewelers, Defiance Beef, Chimney Solutions, and WIBC. Get your tickets at WIBC.com.
Leave all of the 2025 dirt behind and start the new year with Zero Res. Carpets, tile, rugs, upholstery, and hard surfaces, your whole home can be Zero Resified, including your air ducts. With a 4.9 Google rating and over 5,100 reviews, Zero Res is the trusted choice. So start the new year with 3 rooms of carpet clean for just $119, plus a free hallway, and take 15% off regularly priced services when you mention the WIBC special. 317-388-5141, ZeroResIndy.com.
It's a new year. Ready for a fresh start or career reboot? At My Computer Career, prep for a more recession-resistant future in the high-demand fields of IT, cybersecurity, in months, not years, including AI. Whether you're starting out or switching careers, no prior training is needed. Attend school online from home or on campus. Go to mycomputercareer.edu to take the free career evaluation today. mycomputercareer.edu, an elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take DayQuil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Ugh, okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the DayQuil.
Undo your flu symptoms with DayQuil Intense Flu. DayQuil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms.
I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
DayQuil Intense Flu. The daytime coughing, aching, fever, under your flu, medicine. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
Call today or go to bwindow.com and receive up to 60% off plus 24 months, same as cash with 0% interest.
Because at B-Window,
we mean business. We mean business.
Trust me.
This was a fascinatingly scary statistic, and we got to get into it. It's the Kendall Casey Show. Rob Casey's out today. By the way, let's point out Caleb doing a fabulous job in the producer studio, exceeding all expectations in for Kevin today. So WRTV 6 had this article, and it's about how much debt people racked up during the holiday season. So, and this isn't clear, but I would assume by when they say debt, like I use a credit card a lot because you get money back for it, right? Like I try to use my credit card whenever I can because you get money back for it. But I also religiously pay it off, not only on time, but like I'm so OCD about it, like 10 days ahead of time. And I'm so OCD about it that I don't risk the mail. I just go pay it in person. Here you go. Here's your money. Can I get that receipt? Thanks. That way, if you say I didn't pay it, I got this little piece of paper that says I did. I try to still do everything as much as I can on paper because I just want to have proof of everything. It just makes me feel better. But when they say debt, I am assuming that means not just money spent, because money spent is not debt. It's the amount of money you're adding that you owe people that you cannot pay back at the end of the month. And according to WRTV6, LendingTree, the study came from LendingTree, more than a third of Americans racked up debt averaging between $1,200 and $1,300. Let me read that back. This is just the holiday season. We're not talking a year. We're not talking 6 months. We're talking just the holiday season, which I would have, I think the average person is, okay, what is that? Thanksgiving to Christmas? $1,200 to $1,300 of debt. Now, look, you live your life the way you want to live it, and I'll live mine. And if you want to live on the edge, that's okay. You do you. However, this is a major problem across our nation, and it's starting to affect everybody because the debt that Americans collectively are saddled with and their ability or inability to pay it off and the amount of money that it takes to pay it off and how that affects their ability to buy and participate in the economy in other ways, that affects all of us. You're not being some nosy neighbor if you're like, well, that seems a little scary that people racked up $1,200 to $1,300 of debt that they can't pay off right away. That's a lot of money. I don't know, we looked what the average income here in the state of Indiana, whatever it is, I don't remember what it was, $45,000, $50,000. That's a large portion of your average income that goes to debt. And once you start racking up debt, it would immediately start accruing interest, which makes your debt harder and harder to pay off. That's why credit card companies or banks who issue credit cards want you to use the credit card. It's why they offer the incentive. They're not offering the cash back out of the goodness of their heart. They're not running a soup kitchen there. They're making money off of it, and they're making money off of it by people not being able to pay the thing off in time, people getting it over their skis, getting it over their heads, and then it taking them forever to pay it back off, and them making money on that process. I have this conversation with people all the time. I hate interest more than just about anything. I hate interest. One, I hate owing money to people on stuff. But I also hate interest because you're just lighting that money on fire. It's not going anywhere. If you spend irresponsibly, but you're not going into debt, you at least have something to show for it. Shoes or purses or memories at a ball game or a house or car or whatever it is, right? You have something tangible for it. Your interest, your debt, and the interest that you pay on it, it's just going into the abyss. And so I thought that was a fascinating statistic. And you do wonder, how do we stop this? Because I think reasonable people would agree, hey, why are people going into that level of debt in a relatively short period of time? What is causing people to feel they have to do that? In my house, we talked about this many times on this show, we don't want to do birthdays anymore in my house. I believe birthdays are for the mother. The mother did all the actual work. What did you do? God told you it was time to come out? You moved like a foot. The mother should be celebrated on the birthday. She held you in there for 9. Your dad did like 10 seconds worth of work. Let's face it. The mother, 9 months of carrying you around, the birth. And I know many of you in our audience, you have children, you have experience either as a father or as a mother doing the birthing. You've experienced the birthing process. Once you've experienced the birthing process, whatever hard feelings you have carried with you throughout your childhood into your adult years for your parents, especially your mother, they will go away. Once you see what it took to get you onto this earth, once you see either as the natural childbirth or the C-section or whatever, all of it is horrendous for the mother. Like I told my wife after childbirth, I said, no matter what you ask for in this life, I'm going to have a hard time saying no because I watched you go through that. But the point of all this is, what are we teaching at a young age? What are we teaching people about finances? Why do they feel, and what are we teaching as a society, as parents, what are we teaching people that they feel compelled that they have to rack up this debt? As I said, we don't do birthdays anymore because I don't need you to buy me something just for the sake of buying it. I don't need you to get me a thing just because that somehow shows you like me more. No, if I want something, I'll buy it. I'm a grown-ass man. I'm 40 years old. I can do this now. But it's the thought that counts. You remember me. You like me. You said happy birthday. Thank you. But for some reason, we are in a society where people feel not only do they have to get things for people to show some sort of appreciation, but also they have to financially leverage themselves. They have to go put themselves into debt, where in many cases it will take people months or even years to pay that off. That's a learned thing. And it's also learned in the sense of a lack of financial literacy, where people aren't thinking things through, or they're not being educated to be able to think things through, to say, wow, if I do this, here's the actual cost of it, which of course I'm absorbing, but what's the real cost to it over time? And not only how long is it going to take me to pay this back, but what is it going to prohibit me from doing going forward? These are all things we should be learning as young people, and clearly based on this data from WRTV and this Lending Tree survey, we are not learning those things. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, it's Kendall Casey Show, by the way. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. When we come back, I've been working on a little project over Christmas break that I'm going to tell you guys about. I know Casey mentioned it at one point. And there's a news article that came out about this little project that I'm working on. And the quote from one of these elected people tells you everything you need to know about them. We'll talk about it when we come back. Kendall Casey Show, 93 WIBC.
Life's full of unexpected joys, like problems with water. That's why there's Michaelis, a crew of 24/7 experts who are rescue ready, day or night, one phone call, for a gazillion disasters. Over 3 decades of restoring your home or business to better than new condition. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. Call 844-FIX-INDY. Make it Michaelis.
Hi, this is Denny Smith for Exercise Inc. I've been a client for nearly 20 years, and I can tell you it works. I'm in my 70s now, and I'm doing things on the farm I couldn't even do in my 40s. Lifting, carrying, working without wondering if my body's going to quit on me. That's real strength. That's real results. And I'm not talking about vanity muscles. This is strength that shows up in real life. What makes Exercise Inc. different? The professional coaches, many with over 15 years of experience, and a private gym where every workout is guided, efficient, and safe. Here's the best part. It only takes 20 minutes a week. Their training method came out of an osteoporosis research study. Their Simple 9 nutrition program has helped clients lose over 40,000 pounds, and people see real improvements in strength, energy, and health. This isn't a resolution you quit. It's a habit you keep. The consultation's free, and it's worth it. 5 locations: Avon, Brownsburg, Zionsville, and Greenwood, now in Fishers. Change your life in 20 minutes a week. Go to exerciseinc.com.
Lose weight or stop smoking with hypnosis, guaranteed or your money back. Only $59.99. Destroy unwanted cravings, late night eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating. Also destroy your desire to smoke without cravings, irritability, or weight gain, or your money back. Hypnosis January 29th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss at 5:30 p.m., stop smoking at 8. And January 31st at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss 11 a.m., stop smoking at 2. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
Serving Indiana means being ready for growing energy demands. At Duke Energy, we're adding more power to the grid and working on hundreds of local projects to make your energy more reliable. We've strengthened nearly 20,000 poles, updated more than 270 substations, and prevented hundreds of thousands of outage hours with self-healing grid technology, so your power can come back on faster than ever. That's the smarter energy future Indiana deserves. Paid for by Duke Energy shareholders.
Lose weight or stop smoking with hypnosis, guaranteed or your money back. No matter how many times you've failed in the past, this hypnosis is guaranteed to work.
After this hypnosis, I want to eat good food.
Since August, I can honestly say I have not had one potato chip.
It was life-changing for me.
And I don't think about desserts like I used to.
Bridget, how much have you lost now?
I've lost a total of 83 pounds.
Holy cow.
It's easy, it's fun, very relaxing, and very successful.
And I would just say go for it.
What are you waiting for? Lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed. Only $59.99. Hypnosis to destroy unwanted cravings, late night eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating. Hypnosis Thursday, January 29th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss hypnosis 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking hypnosis at 8 p.m. Or Saturday, January 31st at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss hypnosis 11 a.m. Stop smoking hypnosis 2 p.m. Registration 30 minutes before. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com.
Call today or go to bwindow.com and receive up to 60% off plus 24 months, same as cash with 0% interest.
Because at B-Window,
We mean business. We mean business.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Concern from Venezuelans and Colombians. I'm Chan Herrick. Here's what's trending at 11:30. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife will go before a judge in court today in Manhattan after they were both captured by U.S. forces over the weekend. These people, though, say there's a lot to be concerned about regarding the future of Venezuela.
Right now, it's not over. The Venezuelan regime is still there. They have like different crazy people that we have to take care as well.
there's people who are celebrating because it's the end of an era. But on the other side, there's people protesting because we know the interest of the U.S. It is to get the gas and oil of Venezuela.
Airlines are now working to accommodate American tourists who are stranded in the Caribbean, which was caused by Maduro's capture. And the Indiana gas average today is $2.78 a gallon, according to AAA. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
One of your goals with elected people should always be to make them talk. Because when they talk, you'll find out who they actually are. And I'm going to give you a specific example of this, of a little project that I'm working on. It's Kendall Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. The Indiana General Assembly has reconvened. They're starting their 2026 short session today. They think they'll hopefully, the multiple high-ranking members there have said they hope to wrap up by February, since they were already there during December for the redistricting debacle. And one of the things that we've talked about this on this show for years is really since I got here, and we've talked about kind of the interesting thing for me is I've been here 9 years now. I showed up in December of 2016. And when I got here, talking basically the same way I talk now about the same things I talk now, and my views, they haven't changed. I was such an outlier when I showed up here because the pre-2017, when there were numerous changes that took place at this radio station, WIBC sort of lived in this like Republicans good, Democrats bad orbit. Right, like it's just the way it operated. And those were the kind of the Rush Limbaugh days, and just the way the sort of the news was broadcast, right? And I showed up and I started saying to people, look, you've got to get past some meaningless letter and realize that almost all of these people operate the same way. It's dinner theater. It's Whose Line Is It Anyway? Where the famous television show in the 90s and 2000s, where I think the tagline was something like, where the game's made up and the rules don't matter. And what you realize when you actually get past the letter is you realize how little difference there actually is in most cases between the Democrats and the Republicans, and how not only are they both using you, I mean, they're sucking the life out of you. That is what you are as a taxpayer. You are like the host, right? You are the host victim. We are all host victims. There are essentially 330 million plus host victims that the government sucks everything they can get away with sucking out of us. And when you realize that they see you as nothing but a money factory, and the disdain these people actually have for you. That's the key. And when I was saying these things 9 years ago, people were all like, who the hell is this guy? Like, what are you, how could you possibly be saying these things about the Republicans? And you know what happened? After Trump got elected, a lot of these masks started coming off. That will always say this, and I am critical of many things Trump has done as president. But one of the great things that Donald Trump did that will hopefully be a lasting legacy is he pulled the mask back, or he really forced others to pull the mask back on themselves in elected office to show you who they are, to show you how they view you and what they actually think about you. And I've said this so many times over the years that one of the things our show does so well, and I'm so proud of, is we force these elected people to talk. How many of these guys over the years have we talked about in this program, and then they have some sort of meltdown, either on various other programs here or on the internet or whatever, and you see who they are. You see the disdain. I'm talking at the Congress people, the senators. I'm talking the state elected people. I'm talking the locals. How many times have we done that? And that's always the goal, because once you flood, they're like rats. These elected people are like rats. You got to flush them out into the sunshine and then watch them scatter. Watch them spaz, because they aren't used to being challenged. That's the secret. These people are so used to just doing whatever they want to do. And because they don't get challenged, they not get challenged, most people kiss their backside. They go to events. Oh, let me get a picture with you, Mr. Congressman, Mr. Senator. Oh, I'm so lucky to be here next to you. They live off of that. And when you force them to talk, when you force them to work through it, the overwhelming majority of what they do totally crumbles. It totally falls apart. And so one of the things, this is just, I wasn't going to do this segment, but the story just came out. And so I thought, well, this is a perfect time to talk about this, because it is what we talk about this program. Many of you are aware, one of the things that I started participating in over the holiday break is I am helping out with Brownsburg, where I live, trying to become a city, trying to go from a town to a city. And one of the reasons that I'm helping with that, it's not my charge, but I have agreed to help out with, is because over Christmas break, there was a council meeting in which the town council relates to water and sewer rates, which are taxes. If you have to opt into something, which you do in a municipality with where you get your water and your sewer, and they raise the fee on that, and you can't shop around on it, it's tax. It's a tax increase. If the government's taking it from you by force, that's a tax. And so one of the things that happened over Christmas break is I went to a meeting where they had given, they being the town council that runs the town, had given very clear instructions to the town manager to do something related to these water and sewer fees. The town manager, town staff did not do that in the public meeting, and they still voted to raise the taxes anyway. And I'm sitting in the back of this meeting saying, you have an unelected, unaccountable person who's unaccountable to the voters, who just did whatever they wanted to do. And clearly these 5 people are not willing to hold this person to any sort of account, and we're going to get stuck paying more. I said, that has to stop. And so there had been a member of the town board who was starting a city status referendum petition where you get people to sign. And then if you get enough people to sign, then it goes to the voters to vote on a referendum. And I said, well, I wasn't going to help with this, but now I am. I'm really pissed off, because this is never going to change. This unelected person is going to do whatever they want to do, and these 5 people who are supposed to be in charge don't have the stones to call this person out and hold them accountable, and I have to pay more now because this person didn't do what they were told to do. I'm done with this. I'm going to help with the signature. So we've had a great response so far. I kind of had some fun several days getting out of the house. I went to the local McDonald's. People would show up. They'd sign the petition, and we're in the process of doing this. And one of the local newspapers in town, it's You Are Current. You probably know them best. They cover Hamilton County, but they've also started covering Hendricks County as well. You Are Current, youarecurrent.com, did an article. It just literally just came out about what we're doing and what we're trying to do with this process. And I think I can say this for the other people that are doing this. One of the major things we're trying to do is give the public a say in the people that are making choices for them. Get rid of the unelected person who essentially acts as a mayor anyway, and give yourself a voice. Give the people a voice and an ability to participate in the key decisions that are being made that affect their pocketbook. And so I did an interview for this. It's a fabulous article. You can read it now, youarecurrent.com. And then there's a Brownsburg section there, like the other cities that they cover, and you can read this. And our title of the article is Petition Seeks to Turn Brownsburg into a City. But what's interesting about this is they interviewed one of the town council members. and her name is Cindy Homan. And Cindy Homan is a Democrat. And Cindy Homan is the same lady who on multiple occasions has failed to identify the correct roads that are in town, whether a road is even in town. She has regularly shown she has no idea what's going on. She says idiotic things on the regular in these meetings. And I want to read you her quote, though. And she said this on the record. And again, it comes back to, and this is not about just Brownsburg. We're talking about this because it's where I live. It's something that affects me. But these people are everywhere. Wherever you live, there are people like this in your community. And this is what they actually think of you. So take away where the actual town is. Just listen to the quote, because these people are everywhere. And they're at the local level, and they're at the state level, and they're certainly at the federal level. This is what the people think of you. She said, quote, "As for this petition, I'm against turning the town into a city. I don't believe we need to be saddled with only one person's vision of where the town is going. I also don't believe we have the talent for a mayor." Let me repeat that. I also don't believe we have the talent for a mayor. Brownsburg is a town of about 35,000 people now. And this woman, who on a regular basis has shown she doesn't even know what roads are in town. She doesn't even know where the town boundaries are. She's going to tell you that of 35,000 people, she's smarter than any one of you. That's what she's telling you. That's what she thinks of you. To Cindy Homan, Democrat member of the Brownsburg Town Council, and these people are everywhere. Your job is to shut up and pay. She's the decider. She knows better than you. These are your elected officials. 93 WIBC. It's Kendall Casey Show.
Happy New Year. Hammer and Nigel Show back live Monday afternoon with the biggest stories in Indy and a whole lot of fun. We hope you join us.
Your event isn't just a date on a calendar. It's a reputation. It's your reputation. It's a moment you can't get back. So why trust anybody else? Trust the most experienced at Nameless Catering. We are engineered for high-stakes weddings and massive corporate lunches. We rely on systems, not stock photos. We don't just deliver meals, we deliver peace of mind. We are Nameless Catering, Indianapolis's standard for service.
Hey guys, it's Rob for my friends at We Grow Hair Indy. Now, I get lots of compliments everywhere I go, and one of the things that I hear very often is, Rob, I wish I could be as beautiful as you. And I tell them, you can, if you make the trip to We Grow Hair Indy. Yeah, 5 years. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, 5 years ago. It's been 5 years. Time flies when you're having fun. I made the choice to go to We Grow Hair Indy, get my confidence back, and every day, every time I look in the mirror, so glad I did. Here's how it works. You call today, 317-522-2995. 317-522-2995. You schedule a totally free, no hassle, no obligation consultation. When you schedule that consultation, Darren and the gang, they're top notch. They're going to take a look at what's going on the top of your head. They're going to give you some suggestions on how you can get your confidence back. And then you make the choice. It's totally up to you. Call today, 317-522-2995. 317-522-2995. Check them out on the web. See some other people who made the choice to get their confidence back. WeGrowHairIndy.com. Tell them Rob sent you.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799. 800-598-4799. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Ah, the Internet. A place where your curiosity can flourish. Unless online threats stop you. The Internet is wonderful, but you need to protect yourself online. Protect yourself online with NordVPN. NordVPN encrypts your browsing. Its Threat Protection Pro feature helps you block malware, avoid phishing, and stop digital trackers. Get the best deal at NordVPN.com.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
Join us every Friday right around 5:50 for Beer Sample Friday.
Brought to you by Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus, home of free delivery within 75 miles of their store.
Casey and the Sunshine Band, live at Old National Center, January 23rd at 7:30 p.m. It's the ultimate throwback party. Get your tickets today at WIBC.com.
So we've declared on this program 2026 is the year of the listener. Let's talk about what that means, because it's a group participation project. 93 WIBC, it's Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. Casey's out today. Look, every year when I come back, it's interesting as you get older, and I'm sure you do this in your own life. Like you take much better, you have a better perspective on things. And one of the things, and I think I've talked about this before on the show, one of the things I do each night is I write a daily entry to my daughter. And since the day we found out she was going to be a girl, and we knew what her name was going to be when we found that out, I started a journal. So throughout the process of her being born, and then for the first 2.5 years of her life, I've kept a daily journal. And one of the things that I've talked to her about, and my goal of keeping this journal, one, has been so she'll have a recording of her life. And one of the things, whenever I pass this off to her, if she would choose to continue, that literally her entire life could be written down. Like, how many people could say that when you're 70 years old, with the most basic of effort, you could have a recording of every single day of your entire life. And I will impress that upon her, and hopefully she will continue to do that and be able to look back on literally every single day of her life. But also, I want her not only to know what's happened in her life, but learn from me. Learn from the things that I have done, both good and bad. And I try to be very candid with her in these entries about my life and mistakes that I've made in life or business or whatever, and areas that hopefully she can learn from that. Because I think as parents, and I never really understood this until I had a child of my own, this is the most important thing we do. The most important job we have is how we allow our kids to learn from us. And that involves being very honest with them so that they can have the best life imaginable. That is my number one goal going forward. I love this show. I love what I do, but that is my number one goal. And so one of the things I've written to her about many other things, is perspective, and how as you get older, priorities change and perspective changes. And for me, what that has meant as not being such a dreamer, not in the sense of having big ideas. I still have those, but I try to create ideas that I see some way of being accomplished, right? Like you reach a certain point in your life where you say, I only have so many hours in the day. I only have so much opportunity to accomplish things. I need to spend that effort and the time on things that can be attained. And so as part of perspective, whenever I decide to engage in something, I spend a lot more time than I used to. I used to just hop into things. I mean, bought a radio station once like that, right? Like, because you're young. I was young. I'd done well at my first business. Sure, why not? Why don't we do it? These are things you learn. And so I've written to her about the idea of perspective and spending your time in whatever endeavor you engage in, making sure that it is attainable and obtainable, whatever you're trying to do. And so as I start 2026, I used to just start a year on this radio station going, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And then you get into it and you go, I can't accomplish all of these things. I'd be lucky to be able to get one of them done. And so one of the goals that I set for myself this year as we came back, and I've declared it the year of the listener. If you see my social media posts, I said, look, I am going to, unlike ever before, engage on your behalf. I am your advocate. 9 to noon, 3 hours a day, Rob Kendall is the listener advocate. I'm going to get business cards made up that say, Rob Kendall, listener advocate. I'm no longer a radio host. I am a listener advocate because I have reached the up for with which I cannot stand with these people. But I also have a responsibility to say, how do I take that very broad idea, that broad energy, and put it into, focus into things that can be accomplished? And so when we talk about the idea of the listener, this has got to be a two-way street. Because so often it goes, people will send me something and go, hey, can you believe this? Rob, you ought to do something about that. And then I just end up charging the hill on my own, and I look back and go, where is everybody? So part of what we got to figure out this year is how do we get the most good out of the 3 hours a day that we have? How do we maximize our time together? How do we work together to hold these elected officials accountable and start making some real serious change? Look, I got to be totally honest with you. Last year, and I needed those 3 weeks off. By the way, 2 of them were spent watching a 2.5-year-old. Like I'll tell you, I'm not saying anybody should shed any tears for me, but you have never lived until you've had 2 solid weeks of your 2.5-year-old off daycare. 16 days. Daycare opened at 7 a.m. this morning, and bam, I was there. I got to be candid with you, though. I needed those 3 weeks. Usually I just take them because I just don't like to use days off, and I just end up with all of them at the end of the year. I needed those 3 weeks because after 2025, I was gassed. Because for the first time in a long time, I invested in people, and they all let me down. Mike Braun, colossal failure and habitual liar. Micah Beckwith, colossal failure and habitual liar. And I also carried with me the weight of knowing that many of you didn't trust those guys, and some of you bought into it because I said so. I said, let's take a chance on these guys. Let's see what they can do. And I carried that with me for an entire year. After that property tax bill fell apart and going forward, I carried that with me. Because while my heart was in the right place and I was trying to do the right thing and I was trying to make a difference and I will always fight for you harder than anybody else, I will always go down for you guys. I made a mistake with those 2. And they've been a disaster. So I said, how do we can't invest in these politicians anymore because they just all seem to let us down. So what do? How do we make 2026 the year of the listener in which the most good can happen for you? How do we use this radio show to do the most good? And the answer, and I struggled with this a lot over break. I thought about it a whole bunch when I wasn't sweeping the floor up or feeding the child or preventing calamities of mass level. And what I came back to was, I can't do it alone. And I can't do it in 4 corners of the state. And I can't fight every battle. You guys have got to decide whether your life is worth engaging for. Hey, look, you give me the good stuff, we're going to put it out there. Talk about this Mid-States corridor thing. Over the next several days, we are going deep on that. Because I think that thing stinks to high heaven. I think the governor has some explaining to do. And we're going to do our part, just like we did with Kleinhelter and many other things, to hold elected officials accountable when things don't add up to us. And I will do that every single day. But you guys got to fight the battles too. You guys have got to step up and fight the battles too. If I'm going to give everything to you, you got to give it back for your own life. Because these politicians, you know this. You know this. And this is why, even though people are always like, I hate him. He's annoying. He's a this. It's why we're number 1 and people keep tuning back in. I had this conversation with somebody over break. They said, why are your ratings so high? I said, because people know I'm the one guy who's not bullcrapping them. And people are desperate for that because that's what they see with the politicians at a local level, at a state level, at a federal level. They see people who are bullcrapping them. I get nothing out of this. I get nothing out of these battles that I pick every day other than grief. But I care enough about you to do it. And I know if your life gets better, my life is going to get better too. I believe in the idea, and I have ever since I was an elected official, that we are all in this together. Not like a Hillary Clinton, it takes a village. You got to, some commune where we pool the resources type of thing. But if we're all moving, and it comes back to how we started the show, talking about everybody grabbing the football and moving in the same direction together. You got to do it in sports. You got to do it with your family, and you got to do it with public policy and with holding your government accountable. Over the next week, you got to challenge yourself. What can I do? Look, it's election season. Maybe that means running for a public office for the first time. Maybe that means putting yourself out there like you haven't before. If you're not the guy to run or girl to run, maybe it means running a campaign or serving as a treasurer for a campaign so somebody else good can run. Maybe it means just knocking on doors for somebody for once. Going to the council meetings, your city or town council meetings or your county council meetings. There's stuff you can do, and it doesn't require that much effort. Just a little bit of your time. Just a little bit. And we'll do our part here. You know we're going to bring the smoke 3 hours a day, 9 to noon. You never have to worry about us. I live for this. But I need you on some level. You don't even have to live for it. You just got to want it a little bit. And so my challenge to you over the next week, because the filing window is beginning to open for people to run for public office, is to think about what you can do, even if not over the next year, just over the next 6 months. We can accomplish so much together. I'm down for it. Let's go. 2026, the year of the listener, the Kendall and Casey Show. We are here for you. Great job, Caleb, pressing all the buttons today. You're a rock star. We'll see you back here 9 to noon. Kendall and Casey Show. Stick around. Tony Katz coming up next.
No sunshine.
Are you planning for your retirement? Ensure you're on the right track with a crucial step, tax planning. At Absolute Wealth Management, LLC, every retirement plan we design includes comprehensive tax planning. Imagine maximizing your savings while minimizing tax burdens. Tax planning isn't just about the present. It's a cornerstone for retirement planning. The less you have to give to Uncle Sam, the more cash flow you have in retirement. So take control of your financial situation. Proper tax planning can help optimize your retirement income, leaving you with more time to enjoy the life you've worked hard for. Let us help you create a tax-efficient retirement plan. Your future self will thank you. Call Absolute Wealth Management, LLC, 317-288-0634. That's 317-288-0634. Or visit AbsoluteWealthManagementLLC.com. William Gonzalez offers investment advisory service through Gradient Advisors, LLC, 877-885-0508, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Absolute Wealth Management is not a registered investment advisor nor an affiliate of Gradient Advisors. Gradient Advisors, LLC, and its advisors do not render tax, legal, or accounting advice. Insurance offered through William Gonzalez, independent agent.
Do you need furnace or heat pump service and need to find a local well-trained expert you can trust like Family Heating and Air Conditioning? We'll find that American Standard Air dealer at IndyHomeComfort.com.
Pat Sullivan here. Fire emergency? I've had one. If you do, call Michaelis. Owner Richard Michaelis explains why.
Michaelis is local and family owned. 39 years of experience with 24/7, 365 response. The Michaelis Corporation is IICRC certified, restoring your home or business to pre-loss condition or better.
And Michaelis helps you through the insurance process, giving you peace of mind. Water, storms, fire, and mold. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. Text or call 844-FIX-INDY.
At Hendricks, your cancer care is in the details.
You have questions, and our dedicated clinicians and expert oncologists will answer them.
You have hills to climb,
and we are going to climb them.
You have dreams, and we're here to help you chase them.
You have cancer, and you have all the expertise,
the determination, and the kindness of the entire Hendricks team.
Backed by Mayo Clinic expertise.
It's not just cancer care.
It's Teresa Care. Visit hendricks.org/cancer. From military life to a rewarding career in IT, kickstart your new journey in a matter of months in the fields of IT and cybersecurity, including AI. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including VA benefits.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline nasal spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Weekday mornings at 7:15, the Tony Katz Popcorn Moment. Brought to you by Boer Remodeling. Don't wait any longer for the kitchen you've been dreaming of. Request a consultation at boerremodeling.com.
Call today or go to bwindow.com and receive up to 60% off plus 24 months, same as cash, with 0% interest.
Because at B-Window,
we mean business. We mean business.
Trust me.
On the level, on the go. 93 WIBC Indianapolis.
Coming up.
And he never imagined that he will be driving my country.
And this is the route out for a lot of Venezuelans.
It's been a mess. We've been delayed.
You know, they've got a scheme where they keep you off balance.
This is the WIBC News at noon.
An arrest in Venezuela and the actions that follow. I'm John Herrick. This report is brought to you by Window Nation. Here's what's trending at 12 noon. A Venezuelan journalist in Indianapolis calls ousted President Nicolas Maduro a brutal dictator. Ray Lyman from Indy Telemundo first met him when he was a bus driver, long before U.S. forces arrested him.
And he never imagined that he will be driving my country and rule the country in a terrible way. Because he can be a bus driver and be a president for sure in every country. And that is amazing that a human being can achieve that.
Maduro and his wife are supposed to appear in a U.S. federal court today for the first time. They're facing several charges, including narco-terrorism conspiracy. Now that Venezuelan President Maduro has been captured, Colombia says it's reinforcing its border with Venezuela.
The border with Venezuela is actually right here in Cucuta, Colombia, and this is the route out for a lot of Venezuelans. More than 3 million of them have come to Colombia in the past 10 years, and there's a real concern here that more could flood in, especially if there is violence in Venezuela. They're already prepping for potential humanitarian disasters. They've got armored personnel carriers up here at this border checkpoint, and the military has ordered 30,000 troops to the border. It hasn't happened yet. The streets of Caracas largely quiet. One large protest for Maduro. Many of his party members out there, several thousand people saying they want Maduro back.
That's Fox's Steve Harrigan. President Trump has also accused Colombia's president of trafficking cocaine. The military operation has caused flight restrictions in the Caribbean, which has left thousands of flyers stranded. This man is one of them. It's been a mess. We've been delayed. More than 6 hours. You're advised to check your flight status before going to the airport. A ground stop has also been issued for Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport due to fog. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz saying today he's not seeking re-election. Walz says he can't give a political campaign his all. Several state agencies in Minnesota are being investigated for fraud. Federal prosecutors say they found hundreds of millions of dollars spent fraudulently in state autism services, housing, and meals programs. Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita has filed a lawsuit against Eli Lilly and Company. He's accusing the drug maker of conspiring to increase prices on insulin medications for people with diabetes. The lawsuit was filed in Lake County on New Year's Eve. It claims that Lilly raised insulin prices by over 1,000% in the last decade, and Rokita says Lilly violated multiple state acts and they prevented the company from engaging in illegal activities. That's the purpose of the lawsuit, he says. Eli Lilly has not responded to this. 2 men arrested and about $7 million worth of cocaine was found in Indiana. Jake McDaniel with the details.
State troopers say they're working hard to keep dangerous drugs off the roads in Indiana. On Saturday, that effort paid off when a trooper caught a semi-tractor trailer arriving from Missouri to Richmond with over 300 pounds of cocaine.
And this is a big impact as far as the drug cartel has to bring their illegal substance in here to the United States. And we're very appreciative of what the trooper did, and we will continue to work towards doing this more in the future.
State Police Sergeant Matt Ames says the two men caught were Gurpreet Singh and Hasfir Singh, both from California. They were taken to jail and charged with dealing narcotics. Jake McDaniel, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Some not so typical weather. That story and more next on 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, Nicolas Maduro sees a U.S. courtroom. We've got the latest after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
It's warmer than usual all across Indiana.
Southerly winds today should bring a nice warm up. We're looking at highs close to 50 today, in the mid-50s potentially tomorrow and Wednesday, and then maybe even touching 60 by Thursday.
Matt Eckhoff with the National Weather Service in Indianapolis says southern Indiana is supposed to get the warmest temperatures. Giving blood this month could land you at the biggest game of the year. Johnette Cruz reports.
The Red Cross and the NFL are kicking off their 7th annual partnership with a major incentive for January donors. Anyone who gives blood or platelets between now and January 25th will be automatically entered to win a trip for two to this year's Super Bowl. The prize package includes airfare, hotel, and a $1,000 gift card. With the winter blood supply at a critical low level, the Red Cross says your donation is more important than ever. Book your appointment today on the Red Cross Blood Donor app. Johnette Cruz, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
The season is over for the Indianapolis Colts, but Colts owner Carly Ursay-Gordon saying that they will have what she calls a state of the franchise at 2:30 this afternoon. She's already announced that Colts head coach Shane Steichen and general manager Chris Ballard will come back next season. The Colts have missed the postseason 5 years in a row now. The college football playoffs in the semifinal round, where Indiana will face Oregon this Friday night. Indiana head coach Curt Cignetti says there's a lot about Oregon that impresses him.
You know, they've got a scheme where they keep you off balance with your pre-snap reads. They're huge inside, and the edge guys can really rush the passer.
You might remember that Indiana beat Oregon 30-20 back on October 11th at Oregon. Cignetti, by the way, has already signed several players in the transfer portal, including TCU quarterback Josh Hoover, who ranked second in TCU history in completion rate at 65%. As for how Oregon head coach Dan Lanning feels about the rematch against Indiana, he says that defeat in October taught his team some lessons.
And, you know, I think we've grown in a lot of different ways, found different strengths. As your team changes, you change and you adapt to your strengths of your team, and you see the same thing with Indiana.
Kickoff Friday night at 7:30 in Atlanta, Georgia. Right now, your radar is clear. It's partly cloudy and 44 degrees from our Radio 1 studios. I'm John Herrick on the